welcome to Marie+One. I'm Marie, and today's plus one is Fay Torres. Hi, Fay. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm so good.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited.
Me too, me too. For the little backstory, we were supposed to record last week, and I canceled because of health issues, but I'm glad we're finally able to do it.
Oh, yeah. You got to be flexible when you have kids. It's just a lot. Yeah.
It is. It is. And you know about it too, which we're about to talk about. So, Faye, would you like to introduce yourself in a few words for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Fay Torres. I am the owner of Corvus Media Art Studios. I'm a mother of three. I'm an artist by trade and by just fun. You know, I love it. That's a little synopsis.
Okay. Would you want to tell us how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 34.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from northern New Mexico, Bloomfield, Farmington area. There's 3 stoplights. So if you ever, if you're like, oh, I wonder how big small is, that's how
That's how
how
big it is.
how
Okay.
big it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have I have an older brother who is living in Texas. He's actually a pastor. I have a sister who lives here in Albuquerque. She's younger than me, and she has 2 little ones herself. And then I have a little brother who is he's almost 30. He might have just turned 30, and he is in northern New Mexico as well with his family.
Nice. And you mentioned being a parent. Are you a parent yourself?
I am. I have 3 beautiful little munchkins, 12, 10, and 6. 2 older girls, and then I got a little boy who's stolen my heart. He has it all of it. It's true what they say about boy moms. That's so true. It just wrapped around my finger.
Oh, yes. I'm a boy mom too.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah,
that completely.
The girls would be like, he did this, and I was like, he would never. he would never.
How dare you say that?
How dare you say that about my baby boy? Yeah.
Oh, well, so on the show, I like to kind of take you back. I have so many questions for you.
I know. You said you were. It's funny because you were like, oh, I didn't read anything because I want to know. Yeah, and I love that. That's great.
Yes, like we're strangers
Right.
to each other, but we were talking a little bit before the episode, and I was trying to like refrain asking a lot of questions because I want to keep. I don't look up my guest beforehand or to a minimum because I want to keep, the reactions genuine and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's a real conversation.
Yes. And so, who was young Faye when you were
Oh wow.
younger?
So flashback, right? So I was
Yes.
homeschooled until 4th grade.
Okay.
So I was one of those weird homeschool kids, genuinely. Like, like the social cues and stuff. It was really hard to know that. I also found out later that I have autism, and we didn't find out till I'm an adult about this, right?
Okay.
So I'm newly entered into school in 4th grade, very kind of socially awkward. I also matured very young. So my body was very developed for my age group, and so I just looked a lot different than a 4th grader should. So.
And so, just because I'm European, it's a little different for me. How old are you in 4th grade?
So in 4th grade, that makes me, oh my gosh, what is that, 10?
Okay.
10, wait, yes, 10 years old.
10? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So before 10, the socializing was with your family mostly then?
Yeah, family, church, and
friends, okay.
it's from a smaller town too. So when I went into school, going to school and you're thinking, I'm going to be friends with everybody at church is going to be that's not the case. We found out, right? I found out that's not the case. School is different, right? And I didn't know that at the time some people aren't friends at the same places. I didn't understand. I still don't understand that. I still struggle with understanding that some people can be friends in one place but not the other. I didn't.
So you knew people from like church or
Right,
friends
yeah.
from church that were kind of ignoring you in school?
Well, they were just mean. They would, yeah. Actually, I remember. I hate to say. So there was, we had created this little club right in 4th grade, and I joined this little club, and with all girls. And then one day I go to sit down at my desk, and I get this note in my pencil box, and I was like, oh my god, I got a note in my pen. This has never happened before. So I get the pencil box out, and it's a letter from all the girls in the club, signed, and saying I'm not allowed in the club. Right. This is in 4th grade. So imagine, vigilante phase, what happened. That was when arc villain Faye happened, 100%. And at that point, I, when kids were getting bullied, again, I'm very tall, I'm very mature for my age, looking right. And so when a boy in 4th grade who's this tall, right, was bullying somebody, I went after that boy. Like he was getting bullied back, and he got bullied back hard. And so that kind of, I was getting negative attention, right? And so my art teacher, who literally, I think that he saved my life. He saw what was happening, and he didn't really, he could see that this is angry kid, didn't understand. So he grabs me one day and says, hey, you need to come with me. I'm imagining I'm going to the principal's office, but he takes me, sorry, I get emotional when I talk about this. He takes me down to the art place, the studio, and he hands me a paintbrush, and he says, paint what you feel. And that was the first time I ever picked a brush and painted what I felt. And that's why I'm an artist. Like, it is, because that day I realized that I could find other outlets, and I didn't have to be mean.
See, that's beautiful, because like people, like, that's how powerful teachers are.
Yeah. Oh my God. I still talk to him. He is a wonderful human being. He's still in northern New Mexico. He is an incredible artist. His name is Dale Latta, and I highly recommend you guys go look at his artwork and stuff. He's incredible. But just a genuinely good person that was like, I see this kid struggling, and he had a choice too. He had a choice. He's like, do I take this very ill-mannered child, which I was in school at that time? And he nurtured that, and what's cool, because I was from this little town, he was my, art teacher up into high school. And so he nurtured that. He knew how difficult I was, and he still decided to still be a part of that. And I've always had some difficult things, we all do, right? But I appreciated that. And that's one of the most kind things I think an adult ever did for me, like in school at that time, is that teacher. And that's why I continued artwork, is because like I realized there was a different outlet, and that I could go a different direction than the villain arc Fay, right? I don't have to be like that. Yeah, so
you can channel it through
art, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's amazing. And before that, did you show any sign of being like attracted to art or any kind of?
So my family is a family of artists, and so photography, my grandfather was a professional rodeo photographer, and I remember he had diabetes, and so I'd have to run snacks with him into the rodeo arena, because his blood sugar would get low. So one day grandma tells me, go, Grandma, get your grandpa a snack. So I take it to him in the rodeo arena, and he's like, come in here, wheeze me in. And I imagine I'm just like holding something, and he hands me the camera, and he says, aim high, shoot fast, and watch out for the broncs. And I look up, and I'm in a bronc arena. Like, I'm 8. I was 8 years old, and I'm holding a Nikon camera, and I'm shooting, and he's behind me. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, alone. He didn't throw you in there.
To the wolves. And so that's when photography happened for the first time for me. Holding a camera was like 8 years old. And then I painted, and they joke, because my parents and my grandparents and stuff, they'd give me a purse. I had one of my grandma's old purses, just filled with pens and markers. But painting, I never painted until I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
But yeah, picking up. So it's always. But I never thought it could be anything. Like, they were just like, oh, you do art. You're not an artist. Like, right? They say starving artist. So I didn't imagine it could ever be a career, right? Like, oh, this is just what I do.
It's funny, because I feel like it's only been like a couple, I want to say even month or years, that I feel like artists are being like put in the front of the under the spotlight, right? That it's okay to be an artist. It's okay to have creativity and live off of it.
Right.
I feel like, because growing up, it's almost like, I don't know how it was for you. We're not too far off. I'm 32. But I feel like growing up, parents, but society also push you to be just like for your dreams to be a regular thing, like a doctor or whatever, like, you have to be a lawyer or a teacher, but it can't not be anything that's really like, if you want to be a singer, it's like,
what's your day job though?
Right.
No, I want to be
it's not
singer.
A job,
right? It's a career,
or they're like, oh, you're not, Whitney Houston or whatever, you know. So it's like,
well, how do you think she got there?
Right?
Like Michael Jordan, right? He's a professional, basketball player. He actually shares my birthday, February 17th. And it's really funny because he was rejected from like, he wasn't initially thought to be a good player, and that's hilarious, you know. And you have a lot of other, you know, people like Morgan Freeman. He didn't actually start voice acting until he was in his 40s. And that's like, whoa, like he's the most iconic individual I know in voice acting, you know, in a lot of ways. And it's like, he just had to believe in himself. Right. That's actually the part that it is for most of us, is like to take the leap, you know, which is so scary. Yeah, it's scary to own it, right?
So, okay, so you were a little rebellious, right, and you were also defending people. Do you think it came because you're your younger sister, but you're also a big sister?
Right, I was both, yeah.
Do you think that that played a role too, like, you know, kind of being protective of others?
Yeah. So it's funny because I tell people, like, I give a lot of people chances, like, personally, right? Like, if you hurt me, I'm pretty forgiving. But if you hurt my other my peeps, if you hurt my kids, my people, oh man, I have a zero tolerance. And I don't know necessarily why that is. I just think that I grew up with parents that fought. I grew up in a household that could be destructive sometimes, emotionally, you know, and physically. And so I think at an early age, I just wanted to be safe, and I want other people to be safe. And I was going through a lot at that time too, even stuff that my parents didn't know. You wouldn't think as a kid that age that you would be experiencing. Like, now looking back, right, I'm like, whoa, like that wasn't okay. But you don't realize that at that age, right, and your parents don't know what's happening. You can't. How do you say those words? You know, you don't always know. So,
do you have a example in mind?
Yeah. So I know we kind of briefly talked on it, right? And so, as a kid, I was very involved in the church, and I was, you know, my parents made sure we would go every Wednesday and every Sunday, and we attended all of the summer camps, and we were active, you know, everything that was going on, vacation, everything, we were a part of it. But unfortunately, one of the people who was in that was a youth minister who was like a what is it called? Like an admin, like, you know, over, like, he was a college intern, I guess, who was just part of the community, very, very known, very well-known person, but took advantage of that opportunity for like several years, you know. And that's a very devastating thing as a kid, to be groomed and to not understand what that means. Like, you just think, and then, like, you know, there's experiences where, like, this person was grooming me, right, but then in public would shame me in front of, like, the whole entire church community that was there or whatever. And it was just so, how do you tell an adult this? Right, it's one of those things of, like, how do you? I was a little kid, you know, so having that platform to be able to speak, and I didn't really grow up with parents that we didn't talk about those kinds of things. Like, we don't have sex because it's bad. We don't do drugs because it's bad, because all that's a sin. That's the only reason why they don't. And so then, you know, you grow up with this mentality, and you think, I did something wrong. So a lot of shame in that, you know.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
You know, I am too, right? But I think, you know, and we talked about, you know, going through recovery, right? That's a huge part of it. Like, coming to a point of forgiving. And I heard a monk say once, right, because that was one of the biggest parts of when I had to start into my recovery, right, is looking at myself and saying, you have a problem. And I couldn't get past the part when people say that you're the problem. That was hard for me. So then it was easy when I spoke to my sponsor, and they're like, you're not the problem. You're a part of like, you're not the only one, right? We all are problematic. And that helped me, like, kind of take it tangibly. Like, okay, yeah, I can say I have a problem, yeah. And so from that, it's to be able to look at it and say, a monk told me, like I said once, or not told me, but I watched it, and he's like, not everyone deserves your forgiveness. He says, that might be unpopular. He goes, but you deserve to forgive yourself, because that's a part that was the hardest part for me in the recovery process in my life so far at this point, before, you know, really taking a hard look on myself, was being a problem. There was a problem there. And also that I need to just forgive myself. That's the part. And that's when the healing really started. It's like, hey, you didn't deserve any of that.
No.
None of that was, there was nothing you earned to do that. That's a bad person. And that took me to healing, you know. And that's why talking about it, actually, like, some people can't talk about it. They can't.
Yeah, no.
And I have no hate or no anything to those people. It's hard. But for me, when I talk about addiction, or I talk about my experiences, and it takes the power away.
Right.
Like those people don't control me anymore. Those things don't control me anymore. So for me, it's a lot easier to talk about it because I don't have any more shame in those things because I don't do those things anymore. So that's not who I am. Yeah.
And you can be so proud of yourself. I'm proud of you, for whatever it's worth. But
no, it means a lot. That's kind of how it started, though. Like so. I was a problem, right? And so I had been posting on, TikToks and all these. I was a mess before, huge mess. And so I was like, okay, making a change. And so it's taking time. Like I've affected people's lives in bad ways too, right? Good and bad. And that takes, I think, accountability. You have to take accountability, right? To say what I've done, right? And the healing part is that a lot of people say that you lose people, you don't lose anybody that matters. Like everybody who I care about and who has been there for me from the beginning before recovery is still there. People that mattered, right? They stayed. They didn't abandon me. Like not some people walked away, but I don't consider that abandonment.
No.
I consider that a page turning in a book, right? I really don't have any ill feelings to those people. Like I get it. It's a tough world and we're not all meant to be friends. But,
No, and it's interesting because I actually learned that not too long ago, and it was while talking to Mirasol, actually, that I was telling you about earlier. I think she's episode 7 if you're interested in going to check it out. But she was telling me that some people are meant to be in your life for a season.
Right.
And so, and it kind of hit me hard because growing up, it wasn't this, like, I wasn't abused by my parents, but there was mental verbal abuse for sure. And but same as you, like, in public, my parents, both of them, but everybody was always like, oh my God, you're so lucky. I wish your dad was my dad. And, or I wish this and that. And it was all about appearances. Right. But then at home, we were just treated like shit, like, pardon my French, but this terribly. And so, and in my head, I would always be like, well, you can have my dad. Honestly, not all the time, of course. It's, it's,
right. It's ebb and flow.
Yes. And see, and that's also the hard thing for me is that I've always kind of like craved that attention and that love that I would get sometimes or in public, but then home, it was like the complete opposite. Right. And then, recently when I heard that, and then when I realized my dad would never change, and that also I would never have the recognition, because now I'm 32, I have a kid of my own, and you realize things also becoming a parent. And I just wanted to talk openly with my dad and say, okay, look, I'm not 6 or 8 or 16 anymore, and yes, there were good things growing up, but there were also bad things. Right. And for the longest time, he wouldn't hear any of it, because for him, then when I would talk about the bad things, it meant that I was saying that everything was bad. Right. And no, that's not what I mean. But I would like you to recognize that some things were not okay. Right. And I didn't get that, and I probably never will. Right. But that's also, to me, when you talked about the monk, it's the phrase, it resonates a lot, because I'm also like, you know what, for myself, like, and the part of the problem, like, we're part of the problem. To me, being part of the problem also was just keeping that poison in. Right. And keep, and just all the time talk with my sisters about all that, and just keeping that, anger going. And I feel like for myself, I had to say no more. Right. And let go. And right. Because, and since I did that, I feel like a huge weight is off my shoulders, because it's in the past. And the more you just like talk about it, and it's like, it's almost like you relive it every time. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And so it's not easy. I'm not saying that it
right.
happened overnight, and it still happens where, I do resent what happened. But at some point you have to move on. And especially when I see my little boy now, I'm like, wait a second, he doesn't deserve me being right. like that person still, right? And so
I always, when people are like, oh, something that my parents have said too, same thing, trying to address, not everything was bad, right? Not everything, but man, there's some questionable things.
Mm-hmm.
questions. And I remember being told as a kid, like, you'll understand when you're older.
Oh, I hate
You'll
that so
understand
bad.
when you're older. You'll understand when you have kids. And I had kids. So I was like, okay, cool, sweet. I understand a lot less, actually. Like, now as a parent, right? I remember feeling like as a kid, like, I was difficult to love. Like I was like, but as long as I would, like, comply, right? As long as I would fit exactly the way they wanted it, if it was cleaned right, if it was, everything was done the way, that way, then I could feel like, okay, cool. But it wasn't who I was.
Mm-mm.
Like, I couldn't be organic.
Mm-mm.
And so, yeah, I brought that, those conversations up and be like, hey, like, and they're like, what was, if your life was so terrible, your life, it's like,
See, I
whoa,
hate that.
whoa, I'm not trying to get gaslit here. Like, I'm just saying, like, hey, I'm trying to take accountability. I think that, but where I have also healed in that is, we can only be responsible for ourselves and our reactions. So, like, somebody would be like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. No, you can't actually do that. You can't apologize for someone else's feelings.
Mm-mm.
You can only apologize for your action, right? And so that's changed my personal way I actually handle conflict, is I don't use the word you at all in a conflict, because it implies, like, that you're blaming somebody, right? And so when I have conflict, I really, really try to only use my I, me, or we. And they say that you use we because you're gentler to yourself. And you wouldn't use we together if it implied negative most of the time. You could say, we're having a hard time, right? Absolutely. But if you say you, the entire sentencing, the whole way of the conversation changes. And so that's really healed me, right? Just these little things, right? Like, I told, I'm in recovery, and I remember, early parts of recovery, I was really just physically not feeling well, right? Like, when you're in recovery, like, withdrawal is a real thing, and it is painful. And so, like, in this, I'm feeling all down about myself, and I'm like, oh, I have to go get my kids. I told somebody I'm in recovery with, and he says, you mean you get to? And I was like, oh, you corrected me. Like, he said, you get to. You get to go to work. You get to go get your children. You get to. He said, you don't have to. Like, you maybe feel that way. He's like, but that's not what you have to do. And so, again, like, kind of that redirection, where I can only say I statements, and I can only be like, okay, what can I do right now to change it? The mantra, the recovery mantra, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I say that every day for every single thing I have to address, because it fits. Right? Okay. Even if I make a mistake, right? Everyone makes mistakes. But if you can look at that mistake and say, okay, grant me the serenity to accept things I can't change about that mistake. Okay. All right. It's hard. That's the hardest part, right? To say, hey, I can't change this. Because that's hard, right? Especially when you want it, right? But sometimes, at least for myself, right, is the want isn't actually better. And you have this idea in our minds that it's supposed to be this way, like this cookie cutter,
Right.
Nuclear family, right? We have this idea. And then we realize that is a crock of shit. It's a total crock of shit. And then, too, like, we're in this thinking, everyone's got this figured out. Oh, my gosh, especially in, like, puberty times, we really think that, at least, me again, right? I thought that everyone had it figured out. Like, they knew what they wanted to do for college, and they knew what they, So I was like, oh, they got this in the bag. I don't know anything, right? And turns out everyone felt like that. Every single, like, they might have known where they were going, but they were still lost.
Oh,
they
yeah.
still had no idea. I know, adults now, right? People talk to me, they're like, wow, oh my gosh, you're an inspiration. And to me, it's like, dude, I had to survive. To me, that's not inspiration. To me, I was going to die. Like, that's the reality of it. It's like, I don't, like, I love when people say I'm proud of you, because I am proud of me now, too. But it took those people, strangers from TikTok and whatever, saying I'm proud of you, because there's days that were rough, And those are things that got me through. And I think that it's something that we should tell people, like, I'm proud of you, but it shouldn't just be because they accomplished something. Like, for me, like, waking up every day is a huge, huge thing for me. Because at one point I didn't want to. And I tried to opt out, too. So it's like, if you are waking up grateful, that to me is a win. Like, because I've already been in places where I wasn't grateful. So it's too hard. Like, it's too hard to live without gratitude or let people just move on. Like, okay, this isn't for me.
No,
There's
that's
no
true.
one's shame in that. There's no one's shame in saying, you're not for me, I'm not for you.
Right.
We don't have to actually fight about it.
Mm-mm.
I got a divorce, right? My kid's his dad. He's awesome. I actually have nothing bad to say about him. We have a great co-parenting relationship because he says, and he said, and we both said from the beginning, even when we were divorcing, right? He's like, if you're struggling, then my kids are struggling. And that's huge. Like, I actually talk to people all the time, and I talk about what a good I don't call him my ex-husband. We are, right, by nature or whatever.
Right. We are
No,
or
but
law or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
legality. But I call him my co-parent, and that's because he earned that spot. He works hard as a dad, and just because our personal relationship didn't work out, we still work out great. Like
Nice.
we communicate, and my kids are happy, they're healthy, they're fed, and because of like my caring and understanding, and for his part of life too, where he dealt with things, when I was going through that relapse and recovery, I was honest with him. I said, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm dealing with. And instead of him taking the kids and making this, he didn't. He was like, hey, you know what? We're being real here. It's not easy to tell somebody you have an addiction problem.
No, and
Like,
especially
yeah,
now the co-parent that
No,
could
my
potentially take
that's
your
a
kids
risk.
away from
That's
you.
a big risk, right? Right. It's like, hey, dude, I'm doing hard drugs. You know, how do you tell your co-parent that, right? That I'm in a pickle, dog. And he was so kind. And I really attribute it, and I don't have them, those feelings for him. I care about him as my kid's dad, but that speaks volumes, right? And I think that should reflect how people should be as parents, right? It's an ebb and flow. It's hard. It's hard to be like, what is it? It takes a village, right? It's like, I have to spend the rest of my life around this person. Do I want to have constant conflict? Not really.
No.
So I could be at least amicable, and we can see how this goes. And so that's, again, I can only work on me.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
see, honestly, in the name of your children, thank you.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I had parents that were not like that.
Right.
They were, because it was me, I have, we're three sisters that were like from the same mom and dad, and then they were not married, but they separated. My dad had 3 kids, my mom one with another man, but they were always talking shit about each other,
Right.
but in front of us too,
Right.
though. And see, like, I grew up too with like this like duality of my dad always saying bad stuff or mean stuff about my mom, and then at the end like for 20 minutes he would just like spit on her and then say, but she's still your mom at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's like, and teenager,
Whoa,
you're
whoa.
like, no, like, no,
Yeah,
she's not.
right.
Like, what are you talking about? I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk to
We've
her.
already had
And
this
it's
whole
like,
thing.
so for you to, be able to talk to your co-parent and, and I'm sure it makes a huge difference for your children too. You still, even though you guys are separated, you still show them a good example.
Right.
And I think that's very important. So
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
he's like, happy in a relationship now. I'm happy in a relationship, and they're happy. We're happy for each other, and that's like, it shouldn't be as uncommon as it is. I can't, like, to me, again, right? It's one of those same things like, oh, we can't be friends in the same room, even though we were friends. It's
Right.
just, it's even me, like, that's autism. That is really something I have a hard time with, is I don't get clicks. It's something that it never clicked literally.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
make sense. Because I was always like the kid that would go say hi to every single group in the lunchroom. So to me, it's like, why are we a clique? I'm an athlete and I'm an artist. I don't need to pick a side. We can do both of it. Like, where there's,
Right.
it's fluid. We can do whatever. Like, we can do it together,
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, my parents were similar though. It's like, they stayed married. We were the nuclear family. They were married. They never divorced. And that was supposed to be like,
Again, appearances, huh?
appearance, right? It's, oh my gosh, they never divorced, their high school sweethearts, right? It was not how it looked, right? And so you try to grow from that and realize that this isn't how it is, right? There's a lot of fighting, a lot of parents putting, pawning kids against each other or thinking, yeah. And I would think too that I would think one parent was a totally different person, and so, up until high school, I believed, one parent was a saint, was just really enduring it for the rest of us. And I really believed that. And then all of a sudden whoa, one day I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't actually the case. They actually both had a part. And for me to digest that, right, it's funny because you would think at 18 you'd realize, right? But we didn't. We live in we live in the reality that we choose to live in.
Yes.
Right. And so it can be hard, but that's my co-parent too. His family was feuding. They did divorce, and they still dealt with that feud and that conflict.
Mm-mm.
And we just didn't want that for our kids. And I
Mm-mm.
think for the most part, they really get a quality opportunity to see functionality. You know,
Yes.
so I think that's good.
That's really good. And see, like what you said, we always live in the reality we want to. I think that's so true because same as you, like for so long, like I love my dad to death, but I put him on a pedestal for so long. And then all of a sudden, and so my mom passed away right when I moved here. And because I'm from Belgium, and her passing made me realize so many things that including that she was 29 and he was 31 when they separated, and she already had the three of us, and he left her for a 23-year-old.
Right.
And at that time I was 29, and so I was going to get married with my husband, which he was 31 at the time, so it matched like almost perfectly. We didn't have kids yet, but I was like, wait a second, if today we had three girls and he would leave me for a 23-year-old, maybe I would have also jumped into addiction and alcohol, and and because unfortunately that's what she did. My dad was the love of her life, and she never really recovered from the separation and the pain. And sometimes, like not sometimes, all the time, I wish that she was still here, and I wish I could tell her it's okay, even though it's not okay, but to say I understand.
Right now you do.
And I said it in multiple episodes already, but I think her motherhood was, I think all her problem and her heart pain took too much space compared to her motherhood, and she wasn't.
She hadn't dealt with it.
Yeah, she couldn't do it, and I'm not saying it's good. I'm not giving excuses, and but when you say we live in the reality we want to, I think to this day, sometimes I think my dad has a hard time realizing that, or putting himself in my mom's shoes, because the thing is, she did horrible things, and she didn't pay any child support, or she did stuff to kind of harm my dad and my stepmother, and so he can't see past that. He can't see that he hurt her, and that
the level it got to.
Yes.
The why, if you will. Yeah.
And so, and he had terrible things happen in his life too. I'm not trying to paint him as the villain, by any means, but it's interesting when you say that, because it is true. We do live in the reality we choose to live, and or to believe the side of the story we choose to. And
there's
so
there's
so sometimes I feel like it's so important to be able to humble yourself, take a step back, and say, hey, maybe I don't own the ultimate truth.
Right. I heard this thing too that was like, you are a villain in someone's story, no matter what. You're a villain in someone's story, but you're also a hero in someone's story, right? Like, leaving an abusive situation could be bad for that partner, but how about the kids you're with?
Right.
Okay. Well, which hero do I want to be hero to, right? And so that's allowed me to put into perspective things, right? Where some people are unhealed, and that's actually not my responsibility to heal people. We have to talk about what we are responsible for, and bringing us back to that. And it's hard to center ourselves.
It is hard.
It's hard because I take a lot of responsibility too sometimes. I'm like, oh, the weight of the world is here, and it's me, right? Especially as a mom, because you're like, your kid feels pain or hurts, and you want to fix it, and then I make it worse sometimes because I try to fix it, and it's not fixing anything. Because I can be intense. I'm an intense person, and I think that's for the good and for the bad. I like my tattoos and stuff. It's funny because I know right away if someone's going to get along with me or not without any words. I don't have to. Think about it. Somebody's going to walk up to you and they're going to judge how I look. We're not going to get along. Or we won't. Like, that just this is it. It's a deal breaker for you, bud, because it's not me. But it's a good deterrent. Like, people don't even know why. Like, these tattoos are from burns. I got burned as a child. I fell into a fire at 7 at a campfire, right? Fell into, bridged back into it. And so my wrists were burned. I was wearing flannel pajamas and they lit on fire. I was 7. My hair used to be down to there too, burned it off. And I had burns, all over me. And so I was really self-conscious for a really long time. Like, they're just little ones. Like, they're just but my whole hands had been burned at one time. Those have healed, but I had like little burns, that were all over, from my scars. I have one that's, right there.
I see.
But they were all over me, And so my thought was, well, I want to be I don't want people to pity me. And that's what I would get. People would be like, where'd you get those scars? Or, so it was easier to get a tattoo and people judge me and say, oh, I can't believe you've marred your flesh. Way better for me than someone to pity my burn. And so, like I said, if you can't get along with me, and again, everyone has different reasons for tattoos and purposes, right? That's none of your business. Like, if that's going to deter you, then peace be with you, my friend, because we're not going to get along. Like, because I don't want to be friends with that. That's energy I don't need. Right.
Okay. Yeah. You're giving us so much information.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I have so many questions. Yes. Okay. Because I want to touch on, but okay. So what angle am I going to start with? You talked about recovery.
Right.
But I kind of want to take you back to when did you start to use any type of, or do you have like a preferred one, or how did it happen for you?
Yeah, so I actually didn't drink any alcohol until I was 16, and I didn't smoke like any type of drug or anything until I was like 17 or 18.
Okay.
I was raised in a family where there was no drug education, like zero. There was no alcohol education. I was told that alcohol is a sin. I was raised Baptist.
All bad.
Yeah, I was raised Baptist, so there wasn't wine at church or anything. Baptists don't do that. They actually do like a grape juice, so they don't actually do wine. And so again, I was raised in a non-alcohol home, non-drug home, so I thought this is the world, right?
Yeah.
My dad has addiction problems, or and so he was drinking, but he wasn't drinking at home. We would leave the house, right? He had 4 kids by 24. Okay. So they were high school sweethearts, right? So again, you want to put that perspective where you're like, why would my dad be so stressful? Well, he was a only working person. My mom was a stay-at-home mom with those 4 kids. He did need to find a way, an outlet. There was an unwind. I understand that because I have 3 kids now too. Whew. I can't imagine being the only, I am, right? I am the only breadwinner, right? I'm the breadwinner, and then I have to come home to chaos. Oh man, I know it's tough. And so he not healing with some of those things is kind of the upbringing. But I think he's also coming to a place where he is healing, and I see that happening in his life. But that's his responsibility. I can't take that on, right? But yeah, so I started, started dating, my high school sweetheart, at 16, and he stole a bottle of Sacrament wine, and brought it to his apartment. He was 2 years older than me, so he was 18. We got hammered. Like, I think, my Facebook got deleted. Thank goodness, Meta deleted it because there was still pictures from high school of me getting, from that experience, and that was when I first drank alcohol. At 16, I remember getting obliterated, waking up with a headache, it being like, and then I turned 18, so I had kind of periodically drank. It wasn't really like I didn't have a lot of opportunities. Very sheltered. My parents, very, very sheltered. So I didn't go places a lot. So the opportunities when I would.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
it's very sneaky. Right? You're a 16-year-old. You're sneaky. And so so I didn't even play with drugs, nothing like that. And then I ended up moving in with my grandma my senior year, moving out, graduated, and went to Colorado immediately. And I loved Durango, Colorado. That's where I went. I went to Fort Lewis, but I immediately got into trouble. Like, and not legally. Like, I found the right people to get in trouble with, and misery loves company, if you will. And I started off with drinking, right?
Okay.
And
were you looking for that? Do you think, like, kind of like getting
friends.
Away from home and be
friends.
like, I've been denied this for so long?
I don't know if I was necessarily like trying to find. I think I really wanted to make friends. Okay. And I didn't know how. Okay. Because I was in a brand new place. I think too I felt like the need to belong, somebody different, somebody explore. Really, I was exploring who I was at that time. Okay. I was 18 years old and I never lived by myself on my own. So this was like the first time I was like in the world, and very naive world too. Like I said, like
you didn't know. Yeah.
My sister would go with me on dates. Just to give you a perspective of like how strict my household was. Like I didn't go on independent dates with my boyfriend until I was 18. Oh, right. Wow. I had never gone trick or treating till I was in college because I told my roommate because my family didn't believe in trick or treating. Right. It's against their belief system. Oh, okay. So I never trick or treated till I was 18. So like you're still starting to see like how my naiveness is there. Right. So yeah, so I immediately started getting amongst, people like, oh, try some Coke. Right.
Sure.
Oh, sure. What is it? It makes you feel really good. Have you ever seen, what is it called? It's like a spoof of Johnny Cash. It's a comedy. I forgot what it's called. But he's like, oh, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's cocaine. And like, it's funny because it's like he's making a joke of like, oh, we don't want no part of this, right? And so, but I didn't know. Like, genuinely was like, what is it? Well, I know of it. I heard of it. I'm not stupid, but I didn't know what it did to my body. So I tried it right immediately. I loved it. I was like, dude, oh yeah. I was like, oh, that's my DOC. But then everything was my drug of choice. At that point, right, because people ask me pretty frequently, what's your DOC? It was a drug of choice. And you'll know, too, if someone's ever, like, what kind of group a person is. Because if they say DOC and they think Department of Corrections, they're on a different side of the fence, right? And so that's funny, right? Because I'll see that, too, when people are like, oh, DOC, they're like, Department of Corrections, what do you mean? Oh, man, I'm on the wrong side of the table here, right? But yeah, no, I was experimenting with everything. I had overdosed 3 times by 20 because I got involved in heroin and ketamine at that point. And so by 20, I was in massive trouble. I have only gotten in trouble once by the law. I got a DUI at 19, which set me straight for 7 years. Right. So I got cleaned up, did that, had my baby, moved to Albuquerque again to get out of that area. And I was pregnant independently. My kid's dad is not my oldest biological.
Okay.
But he took her in. He adopted her, right? That's another big win for that guy. But I was a single mom at the time, moving into Albuquerque. And so I moved here and got sober. And it worked for 7 years, right? I say sober, but that's what I think they call like a dry drunk or a dry addict.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? And that's not doing the work. Because there's a difference between being sober and being in recovery, right? Sobriety means I don't do drugs, right? Recovery means that I'm working on myself. Means I'm abstaining from narcotics and drugs and alcohol, right? And working on myself, right? You'll see that too. People are like, I'm a recovering addict. I'm not an addict. I'm recovering. But I don't believe we unaddict. I don't believe that we unalcohol, right? If you are an alcoholic or you're a drug addict, you will always be, but you can recover from it. I am in recovery, right? So that's kind of the placement of it. So I got sober.
Okay, wait. Yeah. So you were 2 years in Colorado, and
that's
when
4 years. Yeah.
Oh, 4 years.
Almost 4
okay.
years, yeah.
When and that was unleashed. Like you tried everything, and you touched the bottom, like rock bottom.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
What? And then, okay, what made you move back to Albuquerque?
The DUI. I'm not from Albuquerque, right? I'm from northern New Mexico.
Oh,
region,
yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. So my sister lives here in Albuquerque, and she was here with her partner at the time. And she's like, I think you just got to get away from there. Okay. She's the one who's, my sister's
But you were in touch with her then?
Yeah. Okay. So my sister and I are still in good terms, and we have our days with my sister, but I could still call her, and I know that she'd be there and stuff. And so, yeah, she, 19 years old or 20, I was 20 actually, moved to Albuquerque, pregnant. I was pregnant, and had a baby. And it's the first big city. This was a big. I remember I didn't leave Louisiana and Montgomery for a year. Like I was too scared. I worked at the mall, so I literally just had an apartment. I didn't leave those two. It was too scary. Like it was scary for me. But I had a DUI, and I knew that it would get me out of trouble and get into a better place. I did all the time I needed to in terms of because I also didn't want to lose my job, and they were like, oh, they're gonna throw the book at me because it was Colorado, New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
And so my public defender didn't show up twice. And so the judge was like, do you want to keep with this I was like, yeah, I'm gonna I'm guilty. I was inebriated, right? And he's like, well, I'm gonna sentence you for X amount of time. And it was a long time. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, can I like, I was also 19, so I was like, can I please something else? Can I ask, like, can I give you a suggestion? Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to say.
Can we please not do
this?
Can we please?
Yeah, I don't know what to say, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, well, what are you thinking? I was like, can you give me an ankle monitor? I was like, I don't want to lose my job. I was like, I want to repay my debt to society. And I really want. I was like, can I go to, like, I did some time already. I was already been there for like 2 weeks. I got in trouble, right? I was in jail, I was in Colorado, and doing.
And you were pregnant?
No, not at that time. Okay. But after I left, I immediately got pregnant, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool, all of it, right? And so I wasn't even pregnant in that, I did that scared me though, because I called my mom when I got a DUI, and I was like, hey, and she was like, stay there, and she hung up the phone. And she meant it. I did stay. I did. Yeah. And so, she meant it. Yeah. So I did. And so finally, when I was able to speak, and I told them, like, I want to repay my debt to society. I want to, do better, right? So they had put me in recovery classes in New Mexico, and I had to move in with move back into New Mexico because I was in Colorado, and then ankle monitor. So I was on an ankle monitor for like a month or something, 2 months.
Wow.
But I did plea. I was asked the judge.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
I'm guilty. But really, truly awesome. Another one of those people, right, where you can look at an opportunity and you can throw the book at them, or you could have them learn, right? And I feel like that was one of those things. And
Yeah, but I think also you like asking and actively, not letting yourself be a victim of that sentence. I
Right.
think also probably like helped your case because
Right.
then he was probably thinking, she's not just like
okay, yeah.
gonna do it. Like she's
Right.
actually, trying to make a change or she's conscious of what's happening. Not saying that it would happen to everybody every time,
Right.
but
Of course. Well, those are those things. And when I moved to Albuquerque, I tried forever not to move here. By the way, I was like, ugh, New Mexico, girl. And I feel like everybody at some point who's from New Mexico was like the land of entrapment, and it's a phrase. Yeah, it's a phrase. They call it the land of entrapment. And I, at one point, did feel like that.
Okay.
But I think because I was entrapped in myself, like I was associating myself with the wrong people. I was associating. That's a you thing again.
Right.
Like find your tribe, find your peeps. If you're in the right area with the right people, then good things come. And so I had to take myself out of that environment, and I moved here. Worked for Zoomies. At 19, 20, like it. Started off and moved here in Albuquerque, and I got clean for several years. Like 7 years I was sober. I had my 3
that's
kids.
a long time.
Yeah. But things happen, life happens, and I was getting divorced. My relationship with my ex-partner at the time was shaky, and so I started drinking again. Right, a friend had told me, "Oh, maybe you could just have one." I remember them saying that, and then that's a dangerous thing to tell an addict. And that's why I know it's 0 now, right? Because I had to learn a lesson. But somebody was like, oh, maybe you can just have one. And for a long time, I said no to that friend, but then I kept them as a friend. And so one day they said, oh, maybe you can have one. So I did. I did have one. Again, this is my responsibility, right? And accountability, right? Because I kept this friend.
Yep.
I kept the friend, right? That's where you got to take accountability. And so I did. I drank. And at that night, I only had one, right? But by the end of the week, I was buying a case of beer. And it wasn't just beer then, right? It was anything. Like I used to say, oh, this is my only vice, because I smoked cigarettes from that whole point on. I actually quit when I got sober. I quit cigarettes first.
Oh, okay.
So because they had a huge grab on me, So I quit cigarettes, quit alcohol, quit narcotics, all of that, and it's been healing for me, But yeah, I had done that, the dry part, right, where I was sober but not healed, not working on it. And I started drinking kind of moderately. People would invite me to go out and, have a few to unwind. And then I went out one night, met a friend, parked out in front of like Bosque Brewing. And I remember only having like one drink with my friend. I started feeling kind of weird, off. So it's like, oh, this isn't right. Like something's weird here. I was in like Wells Park at the time. I lived on West Side, so I was like, maybe I'm just really tired, so I should just probably go. So I talked to my friend, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna catch a cab or a Lyft, and we're gonna go. Do you want me to go with you? And I was like, no, I'll be okay. Like maybe I'm just sleepy. So like he gets into his Lyft, he drives away, and I'm right by my vehicle, but then I'm like not even able to stand up. Like I'm starting to get like.
Oh.
Like, I'm like, whoa, that one drink wasn't one drink. I'm like, all of a sudden, like, leaning on my vehicle, like, trying to catch myself. And I'm like, things are kind of spotty. Like, they just seem, like, hazy and uncomfortable, but I feel confused. I think that's the best way to describe it, is I felt very confused. And at the time, I did not know I was drugged. I didn't know that. But I was drugged. And so somebody had put some type of substance in that drink at some point. Even with my friend there, my friend was in. That wasn't my friend. So as I'm sitting there leaning on the vehicle, 2 people come, and it's dark. It's outside Wells Park, Bosque Brewing, right? And 2 people come standing next to me, and I think they're helping me. So I'm imagining that like they're seeing that something's wrong, like, and so they grab me and they guide me, away from my vehicle into a parked black Mustang, and puts me into the passenger seat of this Mustang. And again, I'm like slumped. Like, I mean, again, I'm not even like fully there. It's very spotty. I remember black Mustang. I remember black leather seats. I remember all the interior lights were red, like bright red. Like they even had like those little LEDs that go in the floorboards and stuff, but like shining, glowing blue, red everywhere, right? And leather seats. I remember it being a newer Mustang too. Like it had to be fairly newer, right? Murdered out, all black, right? That's all I can remember. Or maybe it wasn't because it was hard to tell, right? And so I'm put into the passenger seat, and I'm like, I remember like the last part I remember in the vehicle was my head like rested against the like just like against the car, and my body not having any control. Like I couldn't lift my hands, I couldn't lift my legs or move. I was literally just like kind of crumpled up on the passenger seat. And I don't know how long we drove for. I remember like kind of coming in and out and being in this vehicle again, unfamiliar or anything like that, and go to some question mark location. And then I don't know how long I was there, but several hours, and I recall just kind of very minute things. I remember being carried and taken places. I remember and things happening to me, and so awful, right? And then I wake up and I'm in the driveway of my home on the west side, just laying.
In your car?
No.
Oh, just
They had left me. They dug through my purse. I had my current address, and they had rifled through. They took my ID, so I no longer had my ID. And they had left me in the front yard, my driveway. I was in the driveway of my west side house. So again, like I had my car keys in my bag. Everything had been like I had no money in there. My ID had been taken, and so I was terrified because that's where my address. That's where I did.
Oh yeah,
so
Winky, they know where you live.
Right. Mm-hmm. It was very scary. And so it took me like a day before I could even know what to do. Like I actually just like laid. I remember laying like in my bed silently for like a full day, like not even speaking to anyone. I just like keyed myself into my home. My car was still at Bosque Brewing. Yeah. And so I ended up telling a friend because I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I went to the crisis center, the rape crisis center, and I really like these people. They're needed. And this is why is because this is a horrible thing that should never have happened. Mm-hmm. And those ladies and people who were there were amazing. They even advocated to the police for me. So when I was there with the police, I asked for someone to be there. It was so I hate to say healing, right? Because it was a terrible experience, yeah. Right? But those people are true angels because they gave me the testing that I needed done. They helped me. They kept me safe and made me feel safe. But that's really where the darkest part happened, right? Is like going home after that, right? And knowing they had my physical, they left me here. My body had, the things that had happened to me were not okay. They weren't on my property that it happened, but it happened. So I had to move. I had to completely, I was already divorced from my ex at this point. It took me a while to tell, I had to tell him, right? And so he helped me move. We had to uproot my whole location house so I didn't feel afraid, mm-mm. right? That there wasn't a risk, right? And so, yeah, after that is really where the dark path happened with use and addiction and the grief, the unsettled grief, because I felt like it was my fault, if I wouldn't have been drinking again, if I wouldn't have gone to the bar, if I wouldn't have, right? Because you have that self-doubt, especially as an addict, right? Recovering addict.
No, I know.
Right?
But I can't, when you say right, I don't agree because, damn, it could have happened to anybody. Anyone, because right, even right. just someone, or even, that when that friend was like, oh, it's just one drink, it could have been that one drink, you right. never know. Right. And that's terrible, but... I'm even thinking about your friend that left. Right. Must have felt
he felt horrible. He felt
responsible
too.
Yeah.
And we're still friends, right? And he still feels so responsible for that. And it wasn't his fault, right?
No.
It's like if someone wants to be malice, they will be.
Oh yeah.
They will be. If someone's going to harm someone, they will. They're going to find a way. Mm-mm. And that's why there's crime the way that it is. It's how it is, right? If someone's going to hurt you, they will do everything they can to. But that can't be our responsibility, especially if I made it. I'm here, standing here. I told the story. This happened to me. I could be crumpled up in a corner and cry about it every night. I could. And some days I do. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck yes. Yes, 100%. Some days I'm an absolute wreck. But again, they don't have any fucking power over me.
Right.
Like, I own myself. Like, now I'm past that, where I can no longer pick up a bottle or have to fucking rail a line to survive. I don't need that anymore. And fuck those people. They're horrible people. I hope those people fucking, they are gonna get what they come to, right? But that's not for me to handle. That's someone else, and someone's it's a whole nother story that I'm not a part of. And that's healing for me. Like, I don't have to be tormented if I can allow it to. Like, that's the control I allow, right? And so it's like allowing it in, right? It's like you talk about like looking in the past, and man, it's like reliving. It is.
It is.
I have PTSD. It's exactly what it is. You are reliving it. You're seeing in your mind. Like, for me, when I have my PTSD episodes, I am there. I don't know how to explain it to people, but I'm sitting in the same comforter, in the same bed, in a place I don't want to fucking be. But I can't get out, right? And that's what trauma is. It's any type of anxiety or you know, self-talk, you know, that's gonna make or break you, right? That's what heals people, is how you learn to speak to yourself and say, hey, I don't deserve this, or hey, actually, I was a really shitty person, and what can I do from that? I can accept the things I can't change about it. I can't change that, right? I can't. I can ask for forgiveness, but somebody has to forgive you before you ask for it. That's what forgiveness is. That took me a second, right? I was like, oh, you have to apologize. You have to forgive them before they apologize. That's real forgiveness. Is not hearing the sorry. The real forgiveness is like, you already had to, like, you know, but if they can, you know, come to it and acknowledge it, cool. But if you expect an apology, you don't. That's the ultimatum. Right. That's something that's saying you have to do something to get something. That's not conditional love. That's conditional love, right? Is say, oh, if you say sorry, then I'll forgive you. Well, is there really a guarantee on that? Like, are you really gonna or is this gonna come back in another conversation, right?
But then also, I feel like if you say that, you're probably not healed yourself, right?
Right.
Because like exactly, if you're waiting on something for or for that person to actually give you what you want or what you're expecting, in the condition of, oh, I'll feel better after, then you will not feel better after either way,
well, and it's the same thing with healing and, like, you know, relationships with my parents, right? There are some things that we will never see eye to eye on, ever, right? And I have to accept that. There are parts that may never be healed. I have to make a choice. Is that me continuing a relationship? Is that me working towards that? Is it me just accepting that fact? Okay, I can look past these things, right? And that's what I think love really is like seeing everyone's flaws, seeing the mistakes, seeing people as the raw, gross, you know, mud puddle of bullshit that we are sometimes, and saying, I fuck with that. You know what I mean? Like that's love. It's like, I have friends, you know, my chief of marketing, she runs her own stuff. Her name's Pioneer. And she runs an organization called A Piece of Pie that's like on Facebook and Instagram. And she really aims to help give the community things, right? And she's a great human being, right? And I love her because she's tender with me, but sometimes she says, you're fucking stupid. Like, and she makes me, she kind of snaps me into it, you know, and she's like, feeling bad for myself. And she's like, really? You're gonna feel bad? Yeah, last year you were here, right? And she puts me back in that reality, and that's what friendship is friends shouldn't tell you you're always right. They should tell you you're wrong, right? Because sometimes you're wrong, right? And
I mean, I'm never wrong, but you know,
naturally, yeah. Well, that's what for me though, like, again, like that arrogant, younger, pubescent kid, right? Is I couldn't ever admit I was wrong.
Right, same.
Oh, it's so hard. Oh. But now, like, the best thing is I am wrong. Like, oh my gosh, the release I get from being like, oh my gosh, I'm such a mess. That helps, because I don't feel like this need to meet some unrealistic number or metric of goal that I'm setting. Like, you know.
No, and I feel like nowadays it's so hard when we're meant to just compare ourselves constantly on social media, when on social media all you see is the flipping highlights of people.
Right.
And
no one's posting them crying.
No, or the bad days or how hard the journey is. You only see the spotlight, and when people do share how hard it is, usually those are posts that don't have the same amount of likes, or you know, or it's almost like
they think you want pity or something.
Right. It's like, oh, cry baby, and it's like, no, that's just life. But you know, it's so complicated. I feel like, especially when now well, you know what? I say now, but actually, when I think about early on in my life too, I feel like it's always been about appearances, right?
Right.
It's always been
It always
about
is. Yeah.
making sure that you go to church like well dressed and everybody's like hair is combed and
Right.
and
My
everybody's
grandma,
smiling
my
and
grandma would give us each $8 so we could put it in the offering plate so everyone saw
yes,
that we tithe.
saw that we all put
Like,
money. It
wait,
was the same
what?
for us.
Right? It's like why would we? Why does that matter? Right?
Yeah.
We're here for a whole different reason, right? And I think that's just it's just a funny thing that we as people, right, have a perception of success. Like I heard this too. I forgot on one of the, I probably TikTok, and it was talking about what is success, right? Success. You are successful when you decide you're successful because success is determined by individuals. Like there can be an overall thing of what success can be, but there's not one metric, right? Success for some is being a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
You know, success for someone is having their own independent career, starting a business, being a chef, right? These are all things that people like they aim for, right? That's their dream. And it's funny that we judge ourselves so highly. Ourselves, right? Because some people, like you said, "Oh, I'm proud of you." You know, I don't think I'm successful all the time. I don't feel that way all the time, right? I don't know what that feels like. It's like most of the time I'm just surviving. And I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to survive. I want to live, and that's my personal shift, right? And then people, I think for me, right, is that mirroring, right? Is if you change that and you show this is who I want to be consistently. Like I'm not perfect. But then those people show up. Like those people who are like, hey, I can feel this same vibe, the same energy. And it's okay to break down and
Right. And see,
yeah.
it's so funny you say that because literally last night we went after eating, we went on a walk with my husband and my son, and I was telling my husband how frustrated I feel about this weight I feel on my shoulder to always be on top of everything, and I always feel behind. Whenever I'm done with ironing, then I didn't mop or sweep or or help with the dishes or do whatever, and when I posted, then I didn't send messages to have guests on the podcast, and when I have guests scheduled, then I didn't edit, and it's always I'm always behind on something, and the pressure of I need. Yesterday I told my husband when we were walking, I was like, I want to live. I want to just live with you and our son and do my passion and work on the side and just enjoy it and live our life, instead of being constantly frustrated because I'm not able to do it all.
Right, right. One of the most healing things I've been able to do is say, I can't do this alone. That's what helped me in everything. And everything that I've done forward this last 2 years is saying, I can't do this by myself. Like I genuinely, there's a lot of things. That's why even my company Corvus, it's a collective of people. No one works for Corvus except for Corvus. Right? I work for myself, right? But everyone else gets their independent name and their own branch, if you will, on the tree of Corvus, because everyone's independent. They all have their own way of their art and their own way of themselves, and I think that's what has been healing for me is like I do sometimes have negative self-talk, right, where you're like, I'm not as good as whoever, right? Well, but we're comparing ourselves to a metric of what, right? We made this metric. Most of the time when I'm like feeling disappointed is because I set an expectation that somebody who I never communicated this expectation to is supposed to read this imaginary expectation. And then you're upset, right? And you're like, damn, I wanted to do this, this, and that. Did you say any of those things to that person? Probably not. So then you're upset that they didn't read your mind. It's not their fault, right? There's accountability that has to happen there. Like, now, if you're communicating and that person's screwing you over, okay, that's a boundary, right? We have to be able to distinguish that. Like I said, that friend who was like always telling me, you could have one, you could have that. That's a boundary I should have set, right? At that point, I should have said, this person is probably putting me at risk.
Or please don't say that.
Yeah, it heads up it. The thing is like, very big in recovery. They say, you can't just have one, right? One is too many, right? And so those are things were said, but I allowed myself to have the temptation Even now in recovery, I had a friend, from the past, right? Yeah, asked if she could come over and hang out. And so I'm over, hanging out with her, and she pulls out a bottle of vodka in my bedroom. Okay, I'm sober. She knows, And my roommate was there at the time, and I was like, I need you to please be in here with me. Like, this is not what I want. I want, and this girl's, she hated when my roommate was there, but showed me. So again, there's this moment of a sneakiness of like, what are you trying to do here? You're putting me at a moment of weakness. Like, you shouldn't do that. So I called my boyfriend and I said, hey, I need you to come help me take this girl home. Cause I was supposed to drive her back. Right. And she was really trying to get me to come inside really bad. And so my boyfriend came. I had accountability though. Right. Cause I was too scared. What if I couldn't say no?
Right.
So why don't right. Dude, it's hard. It's hard to
put you on the spot like that.
Right. And so she kept trying to get me to come over. So I called my boyfriend and he drove and he drove the car. Most important thing. He drove the car. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. She's in the back, and she's still kind of going at it. She's hammered, right? And she's still trying to convince me to go. And I'm upset, right? I'm pretty upset. I'm still not voicing this. I'm letting her be belligerent or whatever. And I figured maybe she'll talk to me tomorrow when she sobers up, right? Nope. She didn't. She waited like 3 weeks to get back to me, and then she was like, called me like a bad friend or something because I was not understanding of her situation of addiction. And I was like, well, you compromised mine.
Right? You know who you're talking to? Like, what?
I was like, I had to call 2 people to come support me because I was put in a situation of trusting somebody, thinking that this old relationship could maybe be mended. And again, so I had to learn from my past, though, right? Because that's happened before, and I allowed those people who were potentially going to maybe have a plug or whatever in my life. I didn't do that. This time everyone got deleted, blocked, or they were just removed and told like, and there's people who I still friends with who actively are a part of that life, but they don't bring it around me. They don't actually. When my dear friend, like I said, Pioneer, we're over there at her house. I'm gonna come over and they're having a party and drinking and stuff, and she sits everyone down and says, listen here, buddies, this is my dearest friend, and if you guys even think about suggesting something, your ass is out of here, right? That's friendship.
Right.
That's friendship. And then, and then I never had problems after that. No one's ever had right? Because Pioneer, my dear friend, is able to say, hey, I care about you as a friend, right? And I, went to emo night, right? I don't really go to bars anymore, right? But I went to emo night when I met my boyfriend. That's how we met, right? We met at emo night. And his friend, though, knew I was sober, so we had gone to another emo night, and his friend went to the bar. And again, sober people, you're not asked what you want to drink. It doesn't. You actually, no one brings you a drink usually. They're just like, oh, okay, skip you, and then right. That's how it works. Yeah,
that's true. That's
you
terrible.
Don't drink, right? Yeah. You don't drink.
So you just don't.
You just apparently I consume no beverages, right? And so really, this is just not something that's typically considered. So it's really not that big of a deal, right?
No,
you don't think about it, right?
At least the water.
Right. And so I'm standing here in the group right here, and his friend comes back and gives everybody a drink and hands me a water, iced water.
Nice. Okay.
I was like, wow, this is fancy. I just felt a part of the group, right? And he's like, just because that was huge too. It was like early part of my recovery. I think I only had been sober for like 6 months at that time. And that was huge. I was like, wow. He's like, well, just because you don't drink, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that though. I always just took the fact that I just don't drink anything, right? And so that made a really healing thing for me. And those are kind of like, again, it's like who you're allowing around you. You're going to allow the person around you that's going to bring vodka in my room? No. Right. I'm going to bring people that bring me a water when I'm already in a place I don't typically go. Right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, see, like, I feel like it was like that for me in Belgium when I would go out. It's you social drink, right? It's not like you really want to drink, but everybody has a drink in their hands and sipping, so you do that too. And so it's nice that he brought you that because at least you don't feel awkward just being like surrounded with everybody with a drink. Well, you had your own drink too, and then it doesn't matter that yours didn't have alcohol. You were part of the socializing.
There's something about this.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's why I was a cigarette smoker forever. I started smoking at 18, and then I quit. November of 2022, and that was like whoa, like or 2023 November. It's almost 2 years, and that was like a huge deal, right? Because I always kept saying like, oh, this is my only vice. It wasn't. I was doing everything. Like there was not everything was a vice. It got crazy. But quitting cigarettes was really something that I let hold on to me because it was so social. Like you go out and you have a stove, you go out at the bar, you go out, you need a break, you need this. So it's like cigarette smoking was something very, very social for me. And to me, that's how I found my tribe, right? Oh, the smokers, right? Because, as a smoker too, you're detested some places too, right? And so again, you kind of know where you need to be and don't need to be. And so, yeah, quitting smoking, again, is finding that being able to give myself self-gratification. Because as an addict, a person who lived previously an addictive life, giving yourself gratification, right? It's just Thirsty Thursday.
Yes.
Oh, it's Taco Tuesday. I'm going to have my taco. Whatever, right? We always find a reason, right? And I never had the strength before to say I don't need alcohol to have fun, or I don't need drugs to have fun. And that takes a personal thing too, because the peer pressure, right? But most of the time isn't people actually pressuring us, it's ourselves. It's us thinking we have, again, that perception of what is cool. Man, I thought for so long, like I would look at people and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I was so cool like that. Right. So cool. Other people are like, you're so cool. I'm like, me?
Talking to me?
whoa, right? And so it's like, it's funny, right? Like how it gets switched.
Yeah, it's funny when you say that, because when I met my husband, he was telling me that he hung out with the ABQ Life, the magazine, crew.
Yeah.
But he never drank. But same as what you just said, to me, it felt so weird, because I was like, wait, like they were all drinking and you were not?
Why? Yeah.
And right? And almost like, and they were like, yeah, and sometimes they would offer me like to even sip on their drink, or even like they would just buy me drinks, but no, I never drank, or I never took any or sip or anything. And it felt like he was an alien to me, but to the point that they knew that he wasn't going to drink, so they just even stopped asking. Or when people would just be like you said, the counting, and be like, oh, Joshua, and everybody around would be like, no, like, don't ask Joshua. Not like that he had anything, like it was a bad thing, but just because, they kind of were protecting him too, being like, he doesn't want to, so leave him alone. So that's interesting, because it's a real power.
It is.
And for so long, I thought the power was to actually belong and be like, oh, no, yes, give me one too,
Yeah.
But you don't look any cooler because you drink with.
But our minds tell us that, like, that's how we're cool, is being involved, right? But then, like, again, right? So I go places totally sober now, right? Totally. And I'll go to bars, and it's funny because then, like, I wanted, and I don't really judge people. I actually really love it because it puts me in a whole new perception, and I love telling bartenders, oh, I'm the DD. So that's cool, because I already don't have to say I'm a recovering.
Right?
I don't have to tell nobody immediately, right? That's not necessary. I can just be like, I'm the DD. Boom. Easy reason. And I drive, and it's flat, and my friends get home safe, But yeah, like it does kind of show you who people are when they know something about you specifically. And then, like, yeah, they take an opportunity. I think that shows a lot about people.
Right.
Like, my friend's friend bringing me a water.
Yes.
Unprompted, right? It's like that acknowledgement to see, like, hey, this person obviously has enough of a problem to mention it out loud. Right? Like, probably, yeah. And that's the respect of a friend, right?
Yes. Okay, so, all right. So you came back to Albuquerque. You were sober for 7 years.
Yes.
And so you had your 3 children during that time. And then you had, you slowly got back into it.
Right.
Then
And then the abuse happened.
And then you dove back in.
Right. And just kind of show you metrically where I was, right? So I had purchased a home on my own at that point. I had owned 2 vehicles at that point.
Heck yeah. Okay.
Right? I was a marketing director, sales manager and marketing director for a place here in Albuquerque, and I was on government sites, right? I was, but trying.
So you were on top.
I was on top, right? But when this assault happened, I was still. It just got at that point. I hadn't been doing drugs yet. I was just doing alcohol, and so, but yeah, that really just flipped it. That was the immediately, like, I resented the world. A lot of self-hate, right? That's the part that really, the internal battle that we don't talk about, right? There's a visible part, right? But yeah, I started drinking again. First it was just drinking, and then it was like I bought a bar for my house. in my home. Like I remember, like, this size. I drank so frequently that I was able to buy like my own bar, my own mule cups. I had all the mixers because I was a big tequila drinker. So I was like, I'm gonna have Mexican mule tonight, right? And so it got to the point that I was actually funding my bar in my own home, right? I had built a bar in my house, but got mixed up in bad relationships, and it got to the point again where I'd throw parties and have all the things available. I'd buy all the alcohol, all the drugs, all the things, and I thought that meant friendship. I thought that's what, and again, this is my thing, and nothing to do with those people involved, right? It's they took what was available.
Right.
Right.
It's interesting because I feel like to some extent I had the same experience where I was kicked out of my parents' home, and then all of a sudden I was living alone, and I wanted to be loved. I wanted to have friends and stuff, and so I would invite everybody all the time. Like we would go out, I would pay for everybody, or I would have those parties at home and provide everything, right? But again, it's like for so long I thought they were my friends. They were not, but they were taking advantage. Of course, if you have like someone in your group of friends that is just paying for everything or inviting you all the time.
Why would you say no, right?
Right.
Like, why would you? They're not asking for help, so.
No.
But then there's your resentment, right? Where the part, again, like you're doing all these things. I was that person too. I'm emptying my glass to fill another, right?
Yes.
That's not anyone else's responsibility.
I know, it's so hard to admit that.
It's hard, yeah, because I wanted so long. I thought that if I met everyone's needs, somehow fulfillment would come to me, right? Like, oh, okay, if I'm kind enough, if I do enough things, like if I do these things, then people are gonna love me,
yeah,
right?
Or my belief too, even though if it was probably not like verbalized like that, but was probably also that, then I would think if I do that for others, magically
they're gonna do it.
They're gonna do it to me.
Yes. They're gonna know what my needs are.
No, spoiler alert. No.
Right, and that's my thing too. Like being upset with somebody. Like I'll be like, I try not to do. Old me though is something that's still creepy. It's still there. Like old me is still there. Like she still exists a little bit more dormant inside me. Right. I have recreated myself into something stronger. Right. Yes. But I still believe that darkness lives in everybody. I heard a really cool quote. I forgot where it's from a poet, right? And the quote is essentially that how you know if someone is evil is if they believe that they are absent of evil. And so that is really something that's resonated with me is you have to believe that you have darkness inside of you in order to actually be good, right? Ultimate evil is the belief that you don't have any. And so that's been extremely healing for me because it's like, okay, I do make mistakes, and I royally, like across the board, right? And like, yeah, I was on top of the world, essentially, right? A single mom, like that's a big deal during COVID. Okay, like this is like how do you buy a house? How do you get 2 cars? This is a big deal, right? I was making moves, right? But still, there's this darkness inside of me, this sadness, this pain, and allowing people to hurt me. Like emptying my pockets with that, and then being mad that I had empty pockets. Like that's again, how do you? It can't be mad at people who you offered these free things to them, these things, and then you're mad they didn't reciprocate. Well, you didn't ask them to reciprocate. You emptied your pockets.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't ask them. You didn't tell. That's a communication thing, right? Like I talk about reading minds, right? I try to be very, very intentional with my words, right? Like if I say I'm going to do something, okay, what time are you going to do that? When are you gonna, like I try to be intentional. But yeah, like it's difficult sometimes because we forget that part of ourselves, Yeah, it's hard.
So how long did that phase last, and what started your, because the first time you got sober was the DUI. What this time like was your trigger that got you to be in recovery today?
Right. At the time I was in a relationship that was bad for both of us. I think that now, right, stepping out of it, right, before at the time I would have blamed him for everything, right? But I think, when we're sober eyes and looking on it, we both were really broken people, and we were really just making it worse for each other. And so at that point I had been displaced. My relationship had been broken off, and I was homeless. Like I put everything into the vehicle that, again, was my partner's at the time, because my vehicles had been repossessed. Still angry at him, right? Because of course that would be. So I'm emptying my possessions into a vehicle that's not mine, driving down the road to my sister's house. That's where I'm temporarily going to stay at the time, right? And I'm thinking, man, I must have a problem. This has got to be something. I already quit alcohol at that point, already quit cigarettes at that point. Or not alcohol, I quit drugs and cigarettes at that point. I didn't think alcohol right away was a problem. I really didn't. It's funny because like now it's like, that's stupid, but I didn't, right? And so I quit drugs and I quit cigarettes and I thought, oh my gosh, nothing's getting better. In fact, feels worse. Like it feels worse because I was still drinking. And so I'm driving down the street and I'm in the car that, again, I'm jobless, homeless.
What happened to your house?
Oh, well, we were gone. We were kicked out. And so we lost everything because I was spending all my money on drugs and alcohol. I mean, that's why it's gone. You know, that's what happens when you do things like that, right? You lose it. You lost it. It was so bad an addiction. I lost my home and my cars and everything, right? And I couldn't get out of it. It was a bad relationship. Was abusive and it was tough. Like things were bad. So then displaced, right? So I'm driving someone else's car at this point. That partner took his car back. I'm borrowing a vehicle from my friend, and I'm sitting in this car thinking, man, woe is me. How am I, you know, right? And so I see this homeless man on the corner, and I'm thinking maybe I need to make a change, right? And I see this homeless man on the corner, and I never forget this guy, right? He's what made me, this homeless guy in the corner, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to change this man. All of a sudden, this chaos in my mind came through where I was just going to heal this person, right? Because we can be like that sometimes.
I know.
Right.
I feel like I have that savior mindset
yeah,
sometimes.
So I did. So again, my shit's a mess.
Right.
But for some reason, I feel like I can save somebody. What the hell, right?
But maybe to escape your own, though.
That's what I'm trying to do, right? I told you before, like, one of my issues was, like, fulfilling others to fulfill me, right? That's not, you can't do that. You can't do that. So I turned to this, roll my window down. I'm like, hey, what's your name? I was like, I'll buy you food. I'll buy you a drink. You can hang out with me for, like, this amount of time. Come with me to a meeting. Okay. This is the first time I decided I want to go to a meeting. Was in the car looking at this homeless person. And he says, I'm not ready. Thank you. And I remember being just, what? Oh, my gosh, this guy doesn't want to spend time with, because I'm so great, right?
Right.
right. And so it's funny because I had this moment of like, he said it straight up. He's not ready. He wasn't mean. He wasn't hateful.
Right.
He says, I am not ready to go to a meeting. I was shook. I couldn't believe, right, that somebody who's homeless, someone was jobless, I was in the same situation. All those things that I was naming at that man, I was too.
Right.
I was homeless. I was jobless. I was driving someone else's car, right? And I'm sitting here, still standing on a street corner, blaming a guy, judging a man about something that I am in this, probably worse. He probably had more money in his pocket than I did at the time, right? And that reality snapped me out of it. And looking at that guy, Anthony, his name was Anthony, I still remember it, right? And talking to him, and him saying he wasn't right, that took me. That night I went to a meeting, and I got a sponsor, and it's been better. Like, these aren't perfect, right? They're not. But that reality, right? And I still go to meetings where I hope that I see him, but again, it's my hope that maybe I could tell him, like, you saved my life,
right.
because he did. And he was an addict.
But
and the addict saved my life, not any of my friends who were like, oh, no, the person on the street corner who says, I'm not ready, no judgment at all, was who really made me want to do it. Yeah.
But heck, like, I'm so impressed by you because to me, like from the outside, it clearly feels like you wanted to, you were ready, but you were maybe scared to make that step by yourself. So you were like, you know what? He's gonna come with me.
Yeah.
And then he like turned the mirror back at you and he said, I'm not ready, but but you go.
Right. Well,
without
exactly.
saying it like that.
Yeah.
But you took it as, all right, I'm still going to go by myself. And that shows strength because you could have said, he's not ready. That's fine. Well, you know.
I'm going to go to my house.
Yeah.
Right. But it was like, I think whenever he said no, right, as I remember driving, like I was on Montano and I was like, I can't believe, like, because that doesn't just end it there, right? I remember like self-talking, like, and being like, I can't believe he would want to spend time with me. Like, I'm like... Looking back now, right, it's like, oh my God, right? Oof. Cringy, right? It's like when you see, pictures from high school, you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy we didn't have them like when we were younger, like phones.
Oh my gosh.
Like now it's way too much. Like TikTok, thank God it didn't exist when I was in high school.
Same.
Oh, I was a mess. I remember seeing like old Facebook posts, stupid. I'm just, we're funny. But yeah, like I do own that. Like taking the accountability, like you have to have your own strength, right? And my kids too, right? My kids know so much, and people are like, I can't believe you tell. They were there. I lived in that house with them. My house was a mess, right? I was a mess mom making mess up decisions, and I had to own that, right? Because my kids were there. And so my kids know, because why would I lie to them? They saw what destruction looked like, so why can't I show them peace? Like, so my kids know absolutely everything about my personal addiction and that stuff, because I didn't know any of that about my parents. Like we talked about, right? Like, imagine if we would have known. Like, imagine if my parents would have, or, you know, our parents or people, like, were more open like this, like, in general, right? And people were like, hey, we're human. We're not just a number. We're not just, like, that's what makes humanity, you know?
Yeah, or it's funny because I don't remember what episode I was talking about that, but it's like when you're a kid or even an adolescent, it's like your parents are supposed to be just your parents, right? They're an etiquette. They're like, oh, it's my mom or my dad. You don't. It's almost like you don't even picture them being an adult,
Or
like
human,
or
like,
yeah,
like
or human, or having their own life or feelings. It's like, no, you. What are you talking about? You're my dad, or you're just my mom. Like, be my mom.
I know. I saw a TikTok. It was so funny, actually. It was like, it's like this mom having a breakdown. It's like sad music playing, and they're like, and then the kid comes with like a snack pack, or like a gummy pack, and they're just like, can you just open this? I know you're going through it, but I need the snack, right? You know. And it's not like they don't know, like, right? And it's my kid's dad was like all worked up one day, and he calls me, and he's like, oh, these kids just don't understand. And I said, well, on purpose. We have worked our lives so hard so that we don't have kids walking uphill both ways, which is stupid as shit. I always thought, like, you're taking extra steps here, if you're walking uphill both ways, something's wrong with your navigation, not anyone else's, like, to me, right? But, like, I was talking to my kid's dad, and it's like, they don't know because they don't know. They did not have to work on a farm like we did at young ages. They did not have to do these things. They have accessibility and love and stuff and tenderness that we didn't have. So we cannot be upset with our children when they don't understand things. We prevented them from understanding. So that's what I told him. He knows that. Whoa, you know, maybe don't be mad about that. We worked real hard for that. Let's keep that.
Yeah, right? And see, don't you, like, now they're a little older than my little 2-year-old, but what I'm scared, we talk about with my husband a lot is that he went through a lot of trauma growing up too. Right. And so it's like, okay, we both went through some shit and trauma, and we grew from it, right? And we're stronger because of it. And, you know, I started working when I was 14, and it's like, you know, it builds, you know, character. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, okay, how do we get our son to build that character and, you know, without you know, exposing him to trauma.
Right. Well, that's what our parents' questions were. They were the same questions, right? Where for millennial, we'll have to ask these questions, right? And it's like, what is the next to only grow from what we only know, right? When I started becoming a parent, I really grew up with a household that I wouldn't consider acceptable parenting or respect, like, overall, right? Like, some of the punishments that we had are not acceptable because they're crimes. Where, you know, now, you know, when I first had kids, I had to sit with my co-parent, and I didn't know what some things in terms of parenting, like spanking, right? I don't spank my kids. Now, you know, but I remember one time I spanked my kid ever. I called my mom up. I'm a single mom, and she's like 8 months old, my baby at the time, and she's my first kid. She's teething. She's having one of those days, you know, and I'm crying, like sobbing. She won't. I don't know what to do. So I call my mom, and I'm like, "Hey, Mom, what do I do?" And she's like, "Spank her." And then, like, okay, like, about now looking back, I think that's like, well, that's wild, right? But at the time, I was 21 years old.
Yeah, of course.
First time mom. I called my mom because your mom's supposed to know the answer, right? Like, that's what I was, you know, that's what's supposed to be. The mom's supposed to know. So I call her, and that's her solution. So I did. I spanked her. I thought that was the solution. And I remember my daughter complying. She looked at me in the eyes. She stopped crying. She sat down, and she took a nap. And I knew I couldn't spank her anymore after that. Because that, to me, I remember being told as a child that they wanted to break my spirit. And that does. Man, I tell you what, it does fucking break your spirit. I know. That kind of mental, and, you know, and people have their own opinions about spanking. I personally don't spank my kids because of that, right? But yeah, learning how to punish now, right? Like, I had to learn how to punish my kids. My daughter got in trouble at school. My oldest, now she's in middle school, right? That's the kid that she got her spanking when she was 8 months. And again, like that, I feel horrible. I still think of it. I see her eyeballs still. Oh. And she got in trouble in middle school, you know, and she was messing around in class. And I told her, hey, if you keep messing around in class, I'm going to follow you in middle school. I'm going to go to class and sit with you in class. because it seems to me you need more attention. Because if you're making trouble in school, you need more attention. That's what my mindset, right? I'm not going to spank her. I'm not going to yell at her. Instead, I'll give her attention. So I told her, I said, if you make messes at school, make a big problem again, she's 12. I said, I'm going to show up to your school. She didn't believe me. I got a call from the school. I went to school the next day. I went with her to class, and I went to 3 classes in her middle school. Sat with her at the back, and I asked questions. I'd be like, hey, excuse me. Yeah, I'd like to know about this. I love history, too, so the first class I sat in was history class. Love it. Had a blast, right? I spoke with the principal in advance, spoke with the teachers in advance to make sure it was okay.
Right.
And the great part is they're like, wow, I wish we had more parents that are willing to show up, because, some parents don't even answer, don't even show up to the kids' parent-teacher conferences and stuff, right? This is a real problem, They think that teachers are parents. They're not. They might be their own kids' parents. Right. They're not your babysitters, right? And I sat with her in class, and man, I never had a kind of problem. She didn't get called anymore at school. She started sharing. Because it's embarrassing. You're a 12-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
But the only problem I didn't think about, though, is that I have way too much street cred. Like, I look cool. Like, that's actually how I was like, dang, like, that's when, you look cool. I didn't know I was cool. My daughter says I'm not, so I'm not cool to her eyes. But I went to middle school, I dressed in, sweatpants, and I wore, sometimes I look a little rugged, I had, a hat on and, looking kind of mucky on purpose, trying to deter it. It didn't work. All of her friends thought I was so cool. Not cool, dude. She's messing around in school. But she was just absolutely petrified at the experience, so at least that part worked, but...
Nice.
I told her next time I got to send somebody more embarrassing.
No, but see, well, damn, kudos to you again, because, for example, growing up, for me, I was scared every time there was a teacher-parent conference, and my parents always said, the teacher better not say anything bad about you.
Right.
And you better have, And the difference between me and then my younger brothers and sisters, it's then all of a sudden my parents were ready to fight with the teacher, and the mind shifted where for me I was at fault no matter what, but then for my brothers and sisters it was the teacher's fault.
Right.
And to the point that my stepmother made my sister's teacher cry.
Oh.
And
wow.
I was like, wait, what?
Right.
And so I feel like there's a whole generation of kids with their parents, even though they were the same parents as mine, but it's that the mind completely shifted to where the kid is the king and doesn't do anything wrong, and it's the teacher's fault, like you said, it's a daycare and it's the second parents and they better teach our kids right. No, there's also authority, and your kid still needs to respect and listen. And how do you want your kids to be not compliance, not probably the right word,
reflective, but maybe a reflection of yourself,
or in society, respect laws and respect hierarchy and stuff like that. If you show them right away that no matter what, it's the teacher's fault, or it's so mind blowing for me. But so
for me too, I feel like it's always a blame game, right? It's people want to say, oh, it's the teacher, oh, it's this, it's, and I've taken, tons of social work classes as well, too. I'm like 2 years, year and a half from 2 bachelor's degrees. But social work is one of the things that, I really love, and I love metrics, I love numbers, statistics, right? It's a huge part of social work is knowing statistics. And I think that has really helped me in parenting, right? Because I took a childhood development class, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea that this type of development happened, right? I'm parenting as my kids at the same time. My son had just been born when I went back to see him take some classes, and I was taking a childhood development class. And my baby had just been born, and so I was trying to take online classes and stuff. And I was like, whoa, reading my textbook, no idea about this is how children's brains work. And I was like, man, this makes a lot of sense to why I'm like this, right? And realizing things, and that opened my eyes. I think education is a huge thing, right? Because we're not all given the opportunity to have education. And again, as a parent, as me, I think if anything, people who are single parents of any kind, women or men, they're not given the same education opportunities. And we're expected hey, you have kids, hey, you made, or I'm a recovering addict, right? Good luck. Right. And I attribute my success at this point and how far I've come to the people of New Mexico, not the state of New Mexico, the people, because it's those people who heard what was going on and said, hey, we're going to stop this. Hey, you are struggling. Hey, you did make a mistake. Because that's the biggest part, is being able to hear someone made a mistake. Like I did, you know, a lot of people make mistakes, but owning it, trying to make the changes, and then people having the heart to hear it. Because some people don't have that. We talked about it this whole time.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Some people don't have the kindness of forgiveness. Like they don't have it. And it's not our fault. It's not their fault, or it's not our responsibility to manage that. It's just being able to find who you can be lost with, right? Who we can experience. It's not, this life isn't knowing, it's experiencing, you know? And being able to experience this for its fullest, right? Like you told your husband, like, I want to live.
Yes.
We should live. We shouldn't be working to live, or you know, living to work, working to live. You know, we should be just doing what we're passionate about, right? And that's the thing, is like sometimes, you know, art, you know, I work in the art field too, right? And it's like, if any point the work stops being fun, I take a break. Because I was like, this is supposed to be something I'm passionate about and something that I love. And so if at any point it gets like, this is, you know, I'm frustrated maybe editing a photo or doing something, you know, in graphic design, and I'm like annoyed, I step away from it. Because I, you know, have to remind myself that I love this. Right. I love this, and I'm doing this on purpose, right? I'm taking this venture on purpose. But when I start resenting it, like you said, oh, I have so much to do, you're the only person who has that metric. You can say, actually, I can only do 2 things. Right. Because I do checklists. Like, I'll make a list of things I got to do for the month, right? And I give myself check marks because they're digital. Like, I everything's like digital on my phone, my notepad. So I have my to-do list on my notepad, but I'll give myself green check marks.
Nice.
And that makes me feel good. Like, it's like, hey, I accomplished. So then instead of saying I didn't do this, this, and that, I have 5 check marks that say I did this, though. And that makes me feel a little bit better. That's self-value. It's like, okay, you know, you did accomplish things. It might not have been 37 things, but if you would have finished those 37 things, you would be dead right now, right? You'd be exhausted, right? So it's hard. It's a daily, I think it's a daily work, right? We all have to just be kinder to ourselves. It's tough out there. The world is tough, right? And it's hard to look at it, to survive, I think, in this world, if you always look at it from a negative perspective, or an unhealed perspective, or to think that people mean unwell for you. Like, you know, I worked in sales for a long time, and it's funny, I had to get to a point where it's not personal. Like, that sales or people in life, right? Like, I'll have friends who don't text me back, and I used to years ago be like, oh, they don't even like me. Like, no, they like you. They're just fucking busy. Like, they also have fucking lives. They also have all kinds of shit that they're not posting on their Instagram, and they're not, right? Because it's not what it looks like. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard, and you just finding that tribe is the biggest part, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. And also for me, I feel like my tribe has to, you know, we like push each other up, bring it.
Yeah, lift each other up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lift each other up, but
I
also
like push up too. You guys are so strong, physically strong.
I need to
lifting and pushing. I love all of it.
The thing is, to me, it's also important to own that it's sometimes hard.
Right.
Because, see, I was part of a group of people where it's like all moms, they're like wonderful, super moms, and it's almost like too much. Like, to me, it was a little overwhelming because I was just like, okay, they're doing so many different things, and I'm trying here to like survive.
I'm trying to make a PB&J right now, man. No, I get it.
And so it's that pressure, that peer pressure that, you know, at some point I had to step back from, because, you know, it's like, okay, I love them and they're still like very good friends and I love them dearly. But to this day, I haven't like had, I think, the courage to say that. But I need to take a step back, because for me, I can't live with that constant pressure. Right. And even though they're not putting that pressure like verbatim, like, or telling me,
but it's there.
It's there.
Existing in the group. Yeah.
At least to me, you know, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can't, because then I'm on constant like, again, like facade, like appearance mode, you know, and it's not even the fake it till you make it. It's different. It's like, yeah, no, you have to fake it to be part almost, because sometimes I felt like if you were saying that you were tired or something was wrong, then it's like, not it wasn't said like, hey, you don't belong, but it's almost like you're ruining the mood.
Right. Yeah. Ooh, this is kind of like, you're kind of a buzzkill, right? And I guess I'm just like, I can be, you know, I'm a very open person, right? And like we met today.
Yes.
And it's funny because like I'm like this, like with everybody, with my kids. Like this is exactly, and it's some people struggle with that. That I am the same all the time everywhere. Because some people aren't. They have like faces and stuff, and I am not. Like I am like this. Like it's hard to hide this. Right. Like I look like this. But it's helped me a lot to be able to own my own self, right? And say, okay, what are my own personal standards, right? Like I don't drink anything, right? I don't do drugs. That's a standard for me that I have to hold. And if anyone is willing to compromise that, anyone, right? Done. And I had to set that boundary, and it's one of the most scary boundaries I've ever had to put for myself, right? And I have nixed people out already, and it's scary. It's hard because to be put in a situation and know that as much as this person knew, they still chose this. It's tough. Yeah. To say I got to step away from this because you put me in a place, right? And then a lot of people aren't willing to hear that. It's also on the flip side, if someone told you that, you as a friend have to decide now what's the next step. Yes. Right? And that's hard, like to be a friend on either side, right? And I've had friends that don't want to continue, right? And I've had friends say, hey, you know what? We're going to sit down and have a conversation because I think there's a misunderstanding. Right. And then we fixed it. Yeah. But it's that's where the dialogue happens, And maybe it's a verbal thing saying like, hey, this group is a lot of pressure. It seems like a lot. Maybe it's just a conversation. Yeah, because maybe what it is that every single one of these women are trying to still put on this, and maybe it's everybody mirroring each other, right? And maybe it's just all these mirrors looking at each other versus somebody being like, actually, I hate this. Actually, I don't want to do this fucking thing. Like, right, I don't want to do wine and paint, right? Like, there's been several events that I told my friends, I don't want to do that. And they're like, cool. It's nothing. It's not personal, right? It's not personal. It's like I'm not interested in that, right? I'm not gonna go to a reggae show. It's all right, right? It's not my favorite band, my favorite music, right? It's not that doesn't mean it's bad music. No, yeah. Yeah, it's nothing personal. It's not my forte, right? I don't go to bars. I don't go. Why would I go to a fucking bar? Like, unless it's emo night, right? There's no reason. But then, like, I like museums, and I like culture, and I like art, and like exercise and walking, and it's like, so it's, and some of my friends don't. I'm not gonna invite those friends on a hike. Right. It's okay. It's okay. Like, that's not gonna be for everyone, and I think what I learned too from this past, I really had a lot of fallout with the ex-partner, and that kind of was difficult. It was really painful because my expectation of, again, what I thought this wasn't what it was. And I think what really was something that was very healing for that is everyone should eat, but that doesn't mean that we're eating at the same table. Like, I don't want nobody to starve. Everyone deserves food. But that doesn't mean I have to share my plates and share my table and open my door. You can find another place to eat your food. So, right, I don't have to speak ill of anyone. I don't have to do that, right? That's how I'm trying to live my life. Because it's like, I could say I don't want to. Why? Well, that's not going to fix anything. My sister told me, don't speak more than 5 minutes about something that you can't fit. That's not going to be changed in 5 years. Or that's not going to matter in 5 years, right? So then it's like, oh, okay, I could complain about not doing the dishes today. Or, okay, yeah, but I only get 5 minutes. She tells me that. She gives me a cap. So I get 5 minutes. But that's actually been something really big for me because I'll take it home too, right? Where sometimes I want to marinate on the conversation. Maybe I should have said this, or maybe I should have. Right? It's like, oh, if they would have let me say this. Like, you get this dialogue in your head. Like, you imagine these things. And most of the time you're working yourself up. Like, that's true. These things aren't happening, right? This is anxiety for me, right? Like, I'm imagining these scenarios to be away, and they're not like that at all. Like, it's complete misunderstanding, or, And so a lot of times just taking a step away, backing up is a big help, But communication, like, that's how I maintain all of my friendships too. It's like, I'm going to tell you if you hurt my feelings. Like, I'm like a little kid too. It's funny because I'll go, I love making friends. I love strangers. I really do. I say it all the time because I'll go to like Starbucks. One of my good friends, actually, still a friend of mine. It's been 4.5 years. She used to work at Starbucks. And I pulled up at Starbucks and she's just so energetic and fun. And I just loved her energy. And I was like, do you want to be my friend? I'm 30 years old at the time. I don't think 30-year-olds normally ask. What I do, I ask that question. Right. How else am I going to know if you're my friend? Like, again, maybe it's the autism, right? I don't know. Like, I don't see it. Like, I don't. No one signs a letter and says we're friends. Like, right? I don't know. And so if I'm like, hey, do you want to be my friend? Then I know right away. And she's like, yes, I do. She gave me her phone number and we hang out. We've been friends for 4 years now. But it's like those kinds of things. It's like, that's friendship. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty blunt and that might be weird for people. But you know what? I got a lot of fucking people that don't think it's weird.
Mm-mm.
Or they like the weird, I guess, right? Maybe
And that's your people.
Maybe it's weird, yeah. But
There we
that's
go.
okay, yeah. So that's really the most important part is just that healing side of things. You really, if you don't heal, you're going to just really be miserable.
Mm-mm.
I think, you know, you got to find your own peace.
Right. And so it's been a year and a half.
Yeah, 15 months is for
15
sobriety.
months.
Yeah. So a little over 15
Congratulations.
months. Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's not crazy. Like, it's how much has happened.
Mm-mm.
Like emotionally, physically, like kind of how much has shifted. Like, also being able to fully own my industry, my company. Like, that's the imposter syndrome that's come along.
Yes.
Like, I just had LLC, you know, I was only sober for like 4 months when I LLC'd. And I barely, like maybe the beginning of this year, was able to call myself a business owner.
Nice.
But I've been LLC'd for almost 2 years. But it was like taking me that much
Yes.
time to be able to even say the words, right?
Mm-mm.
And it's that imposter syndrome, right? Because like you said, people are looking on my social side and they're like, whoa, I'm just a normal human. I'm just sitting in my house. Like most of those edits are done in my bed. Like I'm sitting in my bed wearing pajamas, eating chips. Like that's really what a lot of those, you know, like, you know, it's not what we try to portray sometimes. And I'm not a good pretender, I guess. Like, I'm just
So,
not.
you know what? I want to dive into Corvus, but before we do, let's do a little teaser.
Yes.
I kind of wanted first to dive into your tattoos, actually, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
And then
I'll
you kind of...
take this so you can see the shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you teased us about how you met your current partner.
Yes.
And I want to learn about that. I want to hear all about it.
So tattoos.
Yes.
These are my stuff. I recently got this one. So that is a scarab. This is celebrating, the one on my hand is celebrating my year anniversary of sobriety. And so the scarab in like Egyptian culture is a sign of rebirth. It's a dung beetle. That's what a scarab is, a dung beetle. So it's a rebirthing process, as Egyptians believe that the scarab brought new life, right? And so that's what this is for.
Beautiful.
This one's from my son whenever he was born. I love gems and stuff, so I'm a big fan of.
I love the touch, the little touch of colors.
A little tiny, like it's not all out.
No.
Right? This chest piece is from El Paso. I have a friend who's an artist who owns a company called Golden Goose Tattoo in El Paso. My throat piece is a friend of mine who is in Colorado. His name is Josh, and he runs a shop out there, and he's so good. This was horribly painful.
I was gonna say, I can't imagine.
So, yeah, I have a.
Do you need the tissue?
Oh, please.
Let me get you one.
Oh, but yeah, I have I have all kinds of tattoos and stuff, but gosh, I lost my train of thought. We were saying something.
Painful? Your neck tattoo?
Oh yeah, so I have a foot tattoo as well. It's from like the tip of my toes to the middle of my shin. And so when people are like, "What is the most painful tattoo?" Foot, out of my throat. And I didn't use like lidocaine or anything on my throat. I did on my chest for my sternum, but I didn't use any like lidocaine for my throat.
Is it covering another tattoo or is
No,
it?
so this here is called blood inking. And so what they do is they do the outline in basically no ink, and it's just like blood lining. So you'll see the firm lines, those are the ones that are the actual outline. This is all going to be color. So this is a snake, and then this is a butterfly, I think, on this side. But it's just the blood lining. So this eventually will be a ruby. This is going to be all color. This is like I think a pearl, and then I have a snake and a butterfly that will wrap all the way.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's just it's like $3,000 to finish the neck, just the throat. Yeah, and I like. Oh, I'm gonna be fair to my artists. You know, I don't like to go like get work done and then go get filled by another. Right, that's not fair to the artist. You know, I got this little elephant for my daughter. This is like her elephant. I got for her the one on my foot. I won't take my boot off, but that's from my middle daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So all kinds of stuff. I got my first tattoo when I was 15.
Okay.
Illegally. And like my dad and my mom asked for my birthday if I could have a nose ring. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, 16. And they were like, or I was, I was 15. And they're like, no, if you get a nose ring, I'm going to rip it out of your face.
Oh, damn. We had the same parents, I guess.
Right. And so my solution to that was, if I get a tattoo, they can't take it off of me, right? This is how rebellious.
My dad always said he would, you know, the
Sandpaper. Right. Well, I knew they wouldn't do it. But yeah, like the threat was, you know, like, so I knew that the pulling out of my nostril could be real, but I knew that they couldn't remove my ink off of my skin, right? I know it's so horrible to say that out loud, right? Yes. So that one was my first one ever, and it was my heart on my sleeve.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, that's a cutie that you could still hide though.
I can still hide. So I actually got 6 tattoos by 18.
Oh.
And so there was one, I have like a stars that are right here.
Mm-hmm.
I had those ones. I had this, believe it or not, I had that one, and they never saw it, right? I had this one, and I had some more here. They're all Bible verses, and I have 2 on my pelvis. And they didn't notice. So by 17 and like almost 18, right, I wanted to get a big one, this one. And so I was like, oh, I got to tell my parents. So I took my mom to dinner in a public setting. So I knew how much she's going to freak out, right? So I was like 17, my birthday was in a couple days, and I was already going to get another tattoo. But I had to tell her I had these ones. So I like sat her down in like a fancy dinner and told her. She was furious. Oh God, I'm so happy I did it in public. But yeah, it was... it's funny because like all of her kids have tattoos now. Mm-mm. And now it's not that big of a deal. Because my brother, who's a pastor, has a giant cross on his back, and he's got other tattoos. And my sister and a little brother, all of them, right? But back then, it was a big deal.
Oh, yes.
Like a huge, huge deal. My daughter, again, fast forward to now, my daughter's like, hey, Mom, I think I might want to get my nose pierced maybe sometime. Oh, okay. Well, you're 12. What's the legal age? And I think it's 13 for a nose ring, right? So she looks it up. She Googled it. She has her own phone. It's 13. How would you think about that? And I said,
oh, that's young, though.
I don't know. I mean, I'm there with her, right? But think
no,
about
I know,
it,
but...
Right? For a nose ring. Right, but she's deciding, right? She decided. I also didn't get her ears pierced because I don't believe in taking like choices from people. So when she was born, right?
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so I didn't pierce her ears when she was a baby because I don't believe in. I think people have to choose.
Right.
Same with like, you know, this might be TMI, but my son, I didn't circumcise him because I don't believe in modification. As severely modified as I am,
I agree.
I have lots of modifications, but I don't believe in modifying people without consent. Mm-hmm. And so my kids didn't get any jewelry piercings or any physical modifications that were not for specific reasons, right? Because I really firmly believe that. And she's 12, she's almost 13 years old. Like, I feel like at 13, she'll be able to make, and she's decided she's got almost a whole year to think on this. I think if you think for an entire year of something, even at 12, right, you really think that long. Yeah. You know? I'm
just trying to, I feel like.
And you can take it out. Like, it's not a 14-year-old
No, that's true.
rebelling.
That's true. I just feel like kids grew up like faster nowadays than when I think of like what I was doing at 12.
Right.
I wasn't anywhere near thinking about a nose piercing, you know. But you know, I mean, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, see, my thing though is like she's seen so much, right? And like she knows my story too. She knows like she mentioned a tube top, right? And I was like, actually, so we're very, very like dialogue like this, right? And I pretty much don't say no to a lot of things because I'm pretty reasonable. Like if she can explain to me in a reasonable, she's 12, right? Explain it to me in a reasonable way why she wants to do something, and it sounds reasonable. Then I mean, what am I?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Right?
But
like
and thank you for or do you say that? Valuing her opinion and her.
Well, like people are like, oh, you know, like seen not heard. That's bullshit. Like my kids decide the meals because I have a hard time figuring out what to cook. So I say, then they give me a suggestion. Why would I not take that suggestion, right? My kids have the most opinion in my house because they cook, they clean, they eat just like I do. And so I give them just as much choice of what's on TV and anything else because why wouldn't, you know, why, to me, right?
Yeah.
My daughter also, like, she's extremely reasonably old. She was pretty mature for her age, right? But she mentioned like the tube top, right? And I said, actually, I think that is a little too young for you. I said, because I think, and I gave her a reason, right? Not because I didn't feel any way about her. I said, you are a young lady and you're maturing. I said, what I feel is unfair for just the world is they will look at you as if you were older. And I said, I don't feel that should be you should be a spectacle like that right now at this point. You will be. I said, unfortunately,
Yeah.
you're a woman in this modern age, and one day you will be looked at like that. And I said, and you will have to face that. I said, but right now you're too young. Right now, I don't think you should put yourself there. And so, but the next conversation was a nose piercing. So in comparison, it's really
Yeah,
not
you're
right.
right. Yeah.
Right. And so like, but we have a really honest dialogue. Like me and my daughter, she says, yeah, that makes sense. And she, because I almost
But
say
see,
to
and
her,
then
right,
she won't do it in behind your back.
right. Because we had a conversation about it. Like, and she knows like why, the reason why. And that's something I wasn't given a lot. Same with like an open conversation about like nose piercing. She asked about TikTok, right? And I said, hey, actually, because we are so open, I was like, I think TikTok might be still, even though you are at that age group, it can be scary because there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that can seep through. People, more conversation. That's more what I'm worried about, right? And she says, yeah, that makes sense, Mom. But it's like that dialogue. We always talk like this.
Nice.
This is like, if she has a bad day at school, she tells me about those little bitches. Like you know, and she does, right? Or she's struggling, like, you know, like she has a bad day, or, you know, sometimes she yells at me. I yell at her. So why wouldn't, sometimes you got to get it out, right? I'm not saying she's disrespectful, but yeah, like why can I do that but not her? Doesn't mean she's less. I'm probably more disrespectful in a lot of other cases. So I try to give them that, like, that human side of
Yes.
things. They are people. They're also figuring it out like I am. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, because I feel like a
course,
lot
yeah.
of parents out there are struggling with that, you know?
I struggle every day, right? Like,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
And it's a struggle, but I feel like if you open and, you know, you're even vulnerable. I can't talk. Vulnerable to your children,
Right.
you know, it's people feel like what I heard growing up is that, you know, oh, children are gonna take advantage of you, right? It's like, no. Or, you know, like even now my son is barely 2, and you know, all you hear is, yeah, but you know, he's taking advantage of you, and you know, you he needs to cry himself to sleep and this and
Right.
that, and it's like, no, this is not how I want my son to fall asleep at night. You know, crying, thinking I
How would
abandoned
you
him
like
in
to
the
cry
dark.
yourself to sleep. Like, you go cry yourself to sleep, right? And it's like trying to make that reality, right? Like, somebody told my sister, she just had a baby. My nephew is about like 4.5 months old, and they're like, "You're spoiling him. He's an infant. The kid still breastfeeds.
I hate
What do
when
you
people
mean?"
say that. I
He's
know.
like, "No, you're not. Like, he's not spoiled. Like, he's actually has needs, and the only person who can supply those needs are his parents."
Right.
Like, he is the most helpless, and yeah, he does actually. Children are masters manipulated, not master manipulation, because the first language they use is body language. They don't learn to speak words. They learn to cry when they're hungry. They learn to be discomforted when they shit their pants. Right? That is true. Right? They are a master manipulator, but not a necessity. They don't speak.
Right.
So how else would they learn? Right? So when verbal language comes into play, right, and they understand, because they will understand before they can speak, right, that's when you start that talk, right? And it's like, okay, your opinion matters. I tell them that all the time. Like,
Right.
where do you want to have this food, right? And then sometimes we don't want to eat the same place. I got 3 kids. So it's not always functional, right? We're all arguing what we don't want to eat, what we do want to eat. So I'll give people turns. It's like, hey, you know what? You got to decide dessert. You got to decide this. You got to, you know, because everyone deserves an opinion. Like, I don't want to make all the choices either. Like, I wish sometimes I got to be a kid sometimes and have people make my choices so I could blame them for it going bad, right? It's like, oh, this went south. It's your fault. I don't get to do that anymore, right? So at least if I'm trying to get people's opinions on something, they don't always get right. Sometimes I got to make a choice because it's too much, right? But then there's that dialogue of like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed today, because I tell my kids that. Like, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm over, you know.
So, we covered your tattoos.
Yes.
I thought we didn't actually cover
All of
them,
that,
you
right,
know.
right,
But so I was curious if you wanted to let us know about your current partner and how you met him.
Yes, yeah. So his name is Nick Torres. We have the same last name, but mine's a married last name, and then that's his actual. They're not related. My ex and him.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Torres-
interesting.
yeah. But Torres is my maiden, not my maiden, is my married name, but I kept it because of my kids. And then so his name's Nick. He's great. He's fantastic. He's a really, really kind person. We actually met. He had added me on like Facebook, because I don't have Facebook anymore. But at the time, he added me on Facebook, and I didn't I get friend requests, you know, whatever. I accepted it, and then my friend at the time had mentioned that we knew somebody mutual on Facebook, and then mentioned him, and I was like, she's like, how do you know him? And I was like, oh, I don't actually know him. I just my Facebook friend, like we just have that. And she's like, you should meet him. She's like, I think you guys would get a lot in common. You have a lot of things, you know. We're both emo. people. And so yeah, so he I messaged him because he did not. He's terrified. He wouldn't have done that. So I messaged him and I'm like, hey, are you emo? Just straight up asked him, are you emo? I don't have a lot of play. I just try to get to the point, like, you know. And he's like, yes, I am. I was like, cool, we can continue this conversation. And we're funny, like it's just comical stuff. But then yeah, we started hanging out. We actually spoke like virtually for like 3 months before we met in person. We did not meet in person for like 3 months. Then we went to an emo show for the first time.
For those of you know of us or listening like that don't know, what is emo?
Emo is like, okay, so man, it started in like the early 2000s. The term emo, right, is shortened for emotional, but emo is like a genre and a group of people. It's very, very general term, right? Because then you have like goth people, and then you have alt people, and then you have like, there's all different names for stuff. Emo is like the same aesthetic as like if the word existed during hair metal in the 80s. Similar, right? Like it's just an aesthetic, it's a vibe. It can be a culture of music, but overall, emo is a culture, right? It's people that like this alternative music. They dress a specific kind of alternative way. It's a trend, right? It's a style. But music is a huge part of it. I love music. I'm a huge part of it. I love all different types of music, but alternative music is
Your
chef's kiss. Yes, that's my stuff. Yes. And so, yeah, went to an emo night and we just hit it off. Like, since then, like, been together now for over a year. And it's been like, we also like didn't go public, didn't tell nobody shit. I love that. That's still the best part. We don't have like an official anything on public, you know, it's like we are official, but we don't have anything that says, I don't have a Facebook, so I can't be Facebook official.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, the famous, you know, in a relationship.
Right. For me, like putting that in my heading, like that, I don't own him. Like I don't have any territory. I don't pee on him. Like,
Oh no,
I don't do that. Like, that's not my thing. But like, I don't own him, right? And so my thing is like always been like if he wanted to leave, then go. Like you know, I don't own anybody. No one's my possession. Like, so I don't need to put any label on anything.
Yeah.
I don't personally, right? I've been married before. Those things happen. Like, I don't need that title personally. And so that's been really good for us, you know, and so we get along really great in music. He writes. He's launching a clothing company, you know, this year as well called Morbid Heart Clothing Co.
Nice.
And then he also does a ton of stuff with Corvus. So he does photography. He also is my chief of operations. So he runs all operations on that side and really helps organize my thoughts because I can be chaos sometimes, right? And so he's a huge part of that. So he's really nurtured just who I am, like, encouraged me, especially in sobriety, right? Because, like, for 3 months, like, when I met him, I'd only been sober for about 4 or 5 months. And first 3 months of that time, we didn't meet in person, and he was just verbally, like, telling me good job. Like, hey, you're doing good, right? We didn't know each other, right? But so what kind of person does that, right? And that made me, like, what do you want? Right? What do you want? You're nice to me. Why? Right? So yeah, it's been really great. He's a really good person. I just got a lot going on in his life too, and it's been great. His family also has been a huge healing side because I don't have the same kind of family.
Okay.
And so seeing that too, like they'll just do stuff. Like it's weird, right? His mom was like, "Do you want anything to eat?" I'm like at her house, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm fine." She orders me food. Brings it, sets it, you know, and I was just like, why? Why would you do that? She's like, well, I thought you could be hungry. Well, yeah. So I eat it, like, all suspicious, like, right? And then I also kind of have that knee-jerk. Me and my partner talk often about having that, like, knee-jerk reaction. Like, in past, I don't know if you ever had past relationships where you had to feel like you're stepping on eggshells. Or, like, if you maybe have had a previous reaction and you're worried that reaction's going to happen again, so you brace yourself, right? And so we do that a lot, like we'll brace ourselves, but then nothing happens, like no impact happens. And so you'll see us like kind of tense up, waiting for like, you know, an abusive, very toxic reaction or whatever, and then it doesn't happen. And then we just go about it. And it's kind of like, whoa, this healthy does happen, you know, it exists. So I really love that. It's been very, very healing, and I feel really blessed to have him in my life. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great. He's also the first person that got to know me sober. Like fully sober, right? That was big too, right? I'd never really been sober with somebody, like really at that point, like, so that was really, really hard, really great too, but very raw and organic. As like I didn't know who I was when I first got sober. Like I still don't know, but it was even more confusing because like something people don't talk about a lot in recovery and sobriety is that you lose senses, like not just physical sense, physical too, right? Like when you look at a tree when you're fucked up, it's totally different than when you've been sober for a year. It doesn't feel the same. You also like have less reaction to things. Like you don't care. It seems like you care less. You care a lot, but the function of the caring is different. So that was really cool because I got to meet somebody for a period of time virtually where he got to know who I was. Like we didn't even have phone calls. It was literally texting and we'd write poetry to each other. Like, yeah, it was very, very, very emotional and deep that I never had experience with a partner before. And it's great. So,
fresh. Like it sounds, it sounds like it was at the right time for you to embrace this new person that you were becoming.
Right.
Even though
he has high standards too, which is funny.
Nice.
He doesn't really get inebriated. He's very like has high standards. He has very good respects for himself. And I joke because he's talked about it. But I wish I met you sooner. It's like that's hilarious because he can look back on my TikTok 2 years and he would be like pass. Like he himself, right? I could be sitting with him, so no, it's different. Like the standards are different because I'm different, right? Like even if we would have met each other years ago, would have been a no for him, right? For me, probably because we were.
Oh
we
yeah,
were
and
not,
you were probably not ready even for that relationship at the time either.
Right, I would have wrecked it, 100%. Wreck-It Ralph all over it. But I'm better. Like things are definitely not perfect, right? But it's a process that we just have to work towards.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So I guess it's time.
Yes.
I wanted you to introduce. So okay, your company. When did it start? Like, how did it start? Like, how did you get the idea to actually label yourself as Corvus, and where does it come from?
Sure. So Corvus. So first off, I am a very big nerd. I love history. I love mythology. Those are things I really like. As I had mentioned, like I have PTSD, I have trauma, and art is something that has healed me, has truly helped me get past it. But that's because I had to face darkness and also like grow with it, right? So Corvus, the word Corvus is actually a Greek god. Corvus is the god of dreams and nightmares. And so Corvus is named after that. It is the Greek god of dreams and nightmares. And it tributes that. Like this theme, the style of a lot of stuff is photography, it's videography, it's graphic design, and then that collaboration piece, like with the people that are involved, right? Like photographers, other artists, models, people that just want to get involved in it, right? And there's so many different pathways. It's exciting, but hard to narrow down, And one of those branches, right? So Corvus started off as me as an artist. I've been an artist for most of my life, and so Corvus began before the name, right?
Okay.
But when I wanted to narrow it down, it was that dreams and nightmares. I was in the midst of dreams and nightmares. When I LLC'd, it was a day of my birthday, and I'd only been sober for 4 months or 3. So yeah, 4 months, right? So I was in the midst of chaos, right? And so I felt like it was a tribute to what I wanted, not what was. And so that's still what it is, right? It's every day is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be, again, hopefully something better, right? That's kind of how it started. One of my dear friends, like I had said, Pioneer, she's my right wing, right? She really does so much, and she's unpaid, right? Because she runs her own organization. I of course, pay her when there's things that come up that way, but she's never asked for those things. She's never wanted those things. She really wants to grow who I am as a person as well as her organization. And she has an organization called A Piece of Pie. And when we had first become friends, I was that addict person, right? She met me as an addict and saw this whole healing journey, right? But when I had first met her, she had been doing this clothing exchange inside her home. And she's like, you don't want to be a part of it. We just don't want to give our clothes to Goodwill anymore because we have to sell it to each other. We could just do this to each other and not sell anything. We just give clothes away. And so she started doing this in her house. I got involved. I, still in that weird body size as a mom. Like, you have babies and your body, it's always changing, right? And so amongst our friend group, we were doing this clothing exchange and trade and stuff. So it's been going on for years, right? And Pioneer's still part of my team. She's lasted longer than other relationships have, right? And so she still did this clothing exchange and everything. And anything that we had left over, we would take to Crossroads for women.
Okay.
And so also, I don't believe in coincidences. Let me just tell you that part. So she would do anything left over to get to Crossroads for Women. So we've been doing this for years, right? And Crossroads for Women is an organization that we are also collaborated with, and its goal is to re-enter women who were previously incarcerated. They house them for a full year and offer a facility for their family as long as there is no adult males.
Okay.
So women only and children, and they house these women. The goal is recovery, not is rehabilitation. So that's what Crossroads does. My dear friend Pioneer has been in the system. She is a product of what the society is not supposed. She wasn't supposed to succeed, and she is, and I love that for her. And she just wants other people to succeed. And so she had been doing this clothing exchange, all this clothes. Again, we kept taking it to Crossroads for Women. And she's taken a step away, went to Santa Fe, and she's there with her partner and still growing her organization. And Corvus is doing it. All this is happening all at once. And I have an opportunity to speak to this nonprofit organization about clothing. They just gave me a phone number, random phone number. Friend gave me. They said, "Need to call these people," because I had an excess of clothes of this thing that we've been doing, and I didn't know what to do with the clothing, but I need to find an organization that would take it.
Yeah.
So they give me a phone number. I call it. It's the director of Crossroads for Women. The clothes that we've been taking these clothes to, right? So it's kind of weird, kind of ironic. And so I've been taking these for like 3 years to this location. And so I have a meeting. I go meet with Crossroads. They're fantastic. The ladies there are great. They really have a heart for people, and they have a unique situation. They have a room that they've created for a boutique, and it's a clothing exchange that they've been for the last 3 years. They had such an excess of clothing that they had to build a store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I told my friend Pioneer this, right? That's what she's been doing her whole. She built a store from her donations, essentially, like not just her, other people.
Yeah.
But that just, pays tribute to what it is. And so this store is now available. It's open. We're going to be running 1 day a week, opening the store, and it's free. There's no costs. You just have to be a woman in order to enter the store. And then, we give you a bag. You take what you want. That's what you need, right? And if you want to bring stuff, you can donate it too. It's so fun because all these things kind of just connect. And like I said, I don't believe in coincidence anymore, And so that connected us. And then I got another connection because we have all these clothes, right? And they got us in contact with Locker 505. And they're like, "Hey, you want to come to this event?" And I came and met wonderful people at Locker 505. Kim is great. And they've bought a mobile vehicle. And they're going to be taking Locker 505, which is they give free clothing to children from kindergarten to high school, 12th grade, and provide them free shoes, clothing. The shoes are brand new, underwear brand new. All that's donated from Ross and his organization, so it's all brand new, and it's a storefront. So it's in the Northeast Heights, kind of over in this area, and they get referrals from educators or people, and the parent will come, and they actually sit the parent at the front of the room, and the kid gets a private shopper so that they don't have anybody influencing on them on what they can get. And so they get and it's free. It's 100% free. And that just it warms me so much. It's like, I remember being a kid and I couldn't afford lunch one day. And they made me work in the lunchroom and clean the table so I could have a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Right. And it's like, I still remember that, and that's not how our world's run anymore, right? Like there's Title I schools that they have all free lunch and stuff, but no one should ever have to experience that, you know? And so I love that we've created such amazing connections with our organization, right? So we have those 2 nonprofits that we work with, and we're actually doing this really great thing at the end of the month or middle of the month in July that we'll be going and donating to the wildfires in Las Lunas. There were some fires that happened.
Yes.
And so there's a big event that Pioneer, a piece of pie is running. And so 505, Corvus, as well as Crossroads for Women are going to be able to get that to the people in need there. So it's really, again, right, you go from the shift of the change you want to be, right? And so that makes me feel really good. On top of all the things that Corvus does, right, that's a huge part is the community, and it means a lot to me. That people get things, that need things, right? And then, we do photography and we do the graphic design and everything, but what makes me do this is I don't have any needs
Right.
now. Like my basic needs are met. Like I have food, I have a place to live, I have, running vehicle. I'm my needs, like the needs are there, and I don't
Mm-mm.
feel like I need more, right? I just want to keep this part, right?
Yeah.
Like this piece, like where I feel like we're making a difference,
Mm-mm.
like not just working to live,
Yeah.
or that I don't want to do that anymore. So,
And thank you for doing that.
yeah,
It's so impressive, and you know, it so hard sometimes because we're so quick to judge, and it just makes me think of, you know, one time we went to JC Penney or at the mall. I don't remember what store we were at. Doesn't matter, but I remember we're like shopping, and then all of a sudden this like man has like a bunch of clothes in his hands, and he ran out the door, and it just makes me so sad because it's like people are so quick to say, um, oh, he stole. Yeah, but he stole kids' clothes,
yeah.
you know? And
I
how
had,
hard must it be for a
right,
dad to not be able to buy clothes to for his children? You
right.
know, it's like people don't steal by choice. Well,
No.
some pieces of shit do.
Maybe,
Okay,
right.
all right.
I had a guy walk up to me just last week, okay? And I was parked in the parking lot, and he walked up to me and he says, "Hey, can I steal anything from you from that store?" And he points and says, "I'll take whatever you need. I'll change it for exchange. I just need a little bit of something. Like, can you help me out?" And I said, "Wait, what?" Like, he's like,
Right, it's like
right, wait. I was like, wait, what? And he's like, "No, I'll whatever you need from that store, you tell me. So cause I just need to feed myself. I need to take care of myself." He didn't want to do it for free, right? He wasn't asking for $100. Like his mind,
Yeah.
right? This is his mind saying, "I want to do. I don't know how else." So I pulled money out of my fucking bag and I handed it to him. I said, don't steal anything.
Right.
Anything, take this money and take care of yourself." That's humanity. Like, dude, like nobody wants it. Like,
Right.
same thing, like it's turning the other cheek. Like, if I saw somebody stealing formula, you better believe I didn't see nothing. No. You know how hard this world is? No baby should have to starve. No kid should have to worry about a shirt on their back.
Right.
And then the parents have to worry about that too. You know how scary that is? You know, it's hard. Like, I've been there too. Like, as a person who is in recovery, right, I can tell you that people want you to fail. Like they say they want you to succeed,
Right.
but I promise you, as somebody who's been experiencing this for the last year, the system isn't designed for success.
Mm-mm.
We're not supposed to succeed, and then people are so proud and excited because it's so rare. But if people would have been if people are given the opportunities that I was given, that people said, "Hey, you need help?"
Right.
Yeah, I fucking do need help. Right. If people were allotted that, if the kindness was there in people to say, "Hey, yeah, you messed up," and not to say that other people don't, because there's addicts that don't want to fix their shit. Absolutely. And those ones are the ones that absolutely give a bad rap, but it's healing inside, right?
Mm-mm.
It's understanding that this isn't just one day and it's fixed,
Mm-mm.
you know? But yeah, it's a compassion side of things. Like, we're human, and like everybody is impacted some way by our community,
Yeah.
whether that's addiction or homelessness or all of those things, right? And it's being able to take a step back in that reality, right? Like, we live in our own reality, right? Like you said, our only limitation is our imagination, like what we can choose, like what we choose to put a block on.
Mm-mm.
It could be the ceiling or it could be the floor.
That's true. Or then, you know, sometimes we tend to forget that where we're at today is where we're dreamed to be a couple weeks, months, years ago.
Right.
But yet we're always like, we're never happy.
Right. Ungrateful. That's where the living in the present, right? I got told, like, the present is the present. It is like that right now, not yesterday, not the problems before, not tomorrow in the hopes for tomorrow. It's right now.
Mm-mm.
This is the present, like where we're at, like, and just enjoying this moment. Because so many times we forget about this moment, and then when it's gone, we're like, "Oh shit, wow, I wish I would have said this, and that." But if we would have been living in the moment, like, just soaking it in, that regret wouldn't be there as much. I mean, yeah.
So if people listening want to be part of it, want to help, or want to in any way, like, what would you tell them? Like,
Right. So, like, in terms of being involved with Corvus,
Corvus, or even like where if they want to donate, even clothes or anything.
So absolutely. There's a couple spots. So with Pioneer, A Piece of Pie, she's kind of our, like I said, she's our wings. She flies. She does a lot of that stuff. Pioneer is on social media. You can
we'll
find
make sure
her.
to put all the
Right, and her social media is, and I'll send a text too.
Yeah.
Her social media is A Piece of Pie, and that's on support group or it's a community group.
Okay.
And I'll get you that information, and you can get a hold of her if you want to do donations. You can also reach out directly to Crossroads for Women as well as Locker 505 or me. Just shoot me a DM on my social pages. I'm pretty responsive.
She is. I can tell you that.
I work in digital media. I work in marketing, so I'm on my phone constantly. Like unless it's on D&D, which is rare, right? That's when I have to step away. But yeah, so always available for that, so especially for donations right now. And I'm not sure if this will be out yet, but the event is on the 19th, I believe, in Los Angeles. And so I might just do a little mini thing.
Yeah,
too
I think we'll be right before, because wait, what's today? 7, 8, 9, 10. So it would be out. Oh, it would be out on the 17th.
Okay, well, yeah, I think the event's the 19th, so it might be right. Yeah, it might be perfect. So yeah, if you do want to have any donations, please feel free to reach out. They can also show up to the event in Los Angeles, and I'll give you the flyer for it. Definitely want as much support as possible, as well as Locker 505 and Crossroads for Women. All of them accept donations, and they have physical locations.
Nice.
Really cool about Crossroads as well is that after the women graduate the program, they supply them furniture and stuff for their first house too.
Oh, heck
so there's a whole separate area outside of the clothes that's actually like living, places, things like that.
So see, it's good because I feel like people always like send money or participate into like things like across the world, right?
Right.
But
they don't know what's happening right here.
Yeah, please fund, like, finance what's happening in our neighborhoods and help our people too, you know.
Right. Yeah. And I love helping. Like, we should help everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
yeah,
we're not
course,
here, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is where we're directly impacted. Like, my mom would be like, "Oh, you need to eat all your food because kids in Africa are starving." Bro, I went on a strike for 2 weeks when she said that, because I thought that it meant that if I didn't eat, that they would
get your food.
That's not the case, right? We can't sit here and play like, oh, we're better than. That's not true. There's tons of amazingly developed areas in Africa and Mexico, but that attitude of this is third world, no, it's fucking not. There's lots of established area there. You're misunderstanding. America has these blinders that we are above all.
Oh yeah, like we're
bullshit. Like I know more people starving on my a couple streets away than I fucking do across the world. But we're gonna sit here like, that's a broken thing here, right? And like I told you, the state isn't equipped to help people, but every person that's ever helped me are my people, are the people in New Mexico. Like I always say that this is the amiga state. Like this is the friend state. This is how we really communicate. And a lot of people come into the New Mexico network and they can't sell shit. They can't get their market out there, and they can't figure out why. It's because you're not here. You're not trying to build local.
Right.
That's fucking why. It's because you don't care genuinely, right? Because people know when you're faking it. Like,
oh yes.
But if you don't care, people don't want to help you, because you're not going to help their grandma. They're not going to help like, why would they give you a recommendation, right? It's caring about the people here locally and the culture and meaning it, right? Like one of my print partners, his name's Jacob, and he owns Big Printing Co. And I'm there one night, we're printing some stuff, and like, oh, we can't get the printer right. And I'm like, oh, it's just, I was like, oh, it's fine. And he says, no. He says, my standards are higher than this, and I will not stop working until my standard is met. It might have been past the time that he wanted, but that shows his quality, right? Those are like the type of people that are here. But if we constantly focus on the land of entrapment and not the amigas, the way we grow together, then you're going to be entrapped,
That is true.
So, yeah, definitely if they have any questions about, being involved, if they need photography, if they need graphic design, social media management, I do. That's also things that I do. I do a lot of stuff. So I'd love to have anybody reach out if they have any questions.
Please do. I'm so happy to have you on and to be able to give you this platform too. We're growing. We actually just had to hit 200 followers on Instagram.
I love that. That's great.
Not 200,000, 200, but we'll get there someday.
It's like the milestone, right? It's like, remember when you had 0?
Yes.
Like
I do.
Yeah. So it's like we have to focus on those wins, right? It's like, it might be 200, but a year ago you had 0. A year ago this wasn't on paper, right? But now it's here, right? And so that's huge. That's huge. People talk about this all the time, and that's a huge thing for you. I know all kinds of people are like, we should start a podcast. Well, you did. You're fucking here doing it, and that's a huge thing. And that itself is like, the action it took to do that. And that's a big thing. You should be very, very proud of yourself for that, because it's to be vulnerable, right? It's so vulnerable to put yourself out there, and then, oh, what if the I don't give a fuck about the rejection, right? That people aren't for me, right? But people who gravitate to you will gravitate. And so I'm so stoked at that 200.
You know what? I love praising people, and whenever it's thrown back at me, I'm like, I don't know how to accept it. So
exactly, it's hard. It's okay.
So we have a tradition on the show.
Okay.
I have 2 stacks of cards.
Okay.
One is a stack of life questions, and one is a stack of expressions.
Okay.
And so I'll have you. This one goes in here. I'll have you pick a card out of each stack. You can mix. You can.
Okay. Just a card, right?
A card.
Okay. That one.
Hee. Thank you.
And then this is how I'm gonna. I like how I'm pretending like I can see. I'm like looking up. Like, okay. Here we go.
Go ahead. So you can read them and let us know if it means anything to you.
Okay, life question. It says, what is one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't?
Oh.
All right, this is actually a really, really good one. So I always wanted to play the violin. And as a kid, my family really, again, like the arts are something that you did, but they weren't something that were, right? That wasn't going to be a career for you. And so I did athletic things because I was going to get a scholarship. I did actually get an athletic scholarship. And those are things that they thought were going to be more beneficial for my future. So music wasn't a thing. And so I didn't get to play the violin. And my daughter had the opportunity this last year to get into orchestra, and she got to play the violin. And she liked it so much that I ended up buying her a violin. And I told you I had to go to school because she was screwing around. Well, the violin class is what she was screwing, and I took it like so personal. Way more personal, right, than I did. And I'm like, I can't believe you're squandering this. I never got to play violin, right? And so she's like, well, do you want to learn? And I was like, yeah. So she's going to be teaching me violin. My daughter, who's 12, right? She has a violin. She's been playing now for about a year. And she plays now by sound. She plays music now. And then I told her, right? I want to play violin. Why don't you? I never thought about it.
There we go.
Right? So, yeah, my daughter's going to be teaching me how to play violin.
Nice.
So, yeah. I'm excited.
Heck yeah. I'm excited for you.
This is like terrifying, right? That's like, what's my excuse now? I have a violin in my house. So that's the part, right? You can't make any more excuses now. All right, next one. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Yeah. So, my daughter was telling me, I love this. I'm a huge fan of Teddy Roosevelt. He's very inspiring. He got like polio in mid-presidency, and then wasn't able to walk. Like had to be wheelchair bound, and people during the time didn't even know that because he was behind a desk. They didn't know. So I really love Teddy Roosevelt, and he really spoke overall, like his goal was always to be like extremely positive person, and I love that about his presidency. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I think that's kind of what we've talked about, like this whole entire podcast has really been that theme, and it's like your reality is what you choose it to be, and that's the part, right? It's like owning it. Right, and what the slogan for Corvus is, your only limitation is your imagination. And I have it tattooed. It's all the way around here. I got it when I was 17, right? And your only limitation is your imagination, and I live by that. It's a motto, a mantra that I stand by. And it's the same, like, right, my limit is when I say it is. Like, my limit is if I can't imagine it anymore, like if I can't see beyond this, right? That's really where the limit is, right? It's my current reality. So I try to have that openness, right? And like take the compliment.
Yes.
You got to take the compliment. It's hard. I know. It's like saying I need help. It's so hard. It's worse. It's worse for me. Like I've literally gone empty in my gas tank and been driving, broken down the side of the road, and literally not able to be like, can somebody come pick me up, because I'm too proud.
Right.
You can't be. You got to ask for help, and you also got to take the compliment. Like I'm kicking ass right now, and I mean that all of respect.
Heck yeah.
It's humbling, right? It's humbling for me to even say that, because like 2 years ago I didn't have a home. Like 2 years ago, I couldn't speak to my parents. Like now, I at least have conversations with them. Like 2 years ago, I was in such a bad place physically, emotionally, right? But now I can stand here and say I survived. Like that is a testament. But I gotta take the compliment, because then how am I gonna keep going? How am I gonna, you have to, because this is the milestone that you talked about, the one you've been wanting for years. That you're already standing here. You have to take it. Take the compliment, because you're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah. You had to lead it. I like how you did it. Thank you. It was good. It was good. The lead is good.
So you know what? We have in other I forgot the word. Thing we do on the podcast, but I just realized that my last guest. So usually what happens is we have at the end of an episode. So you're going to ask a question without knowing who the next guest is, but you'll write it on here.
Okay.
And then I'll ask the question at the end of the episode to you, the next guest.
Okay.
And my last guest, Nico, didn't give me his question.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
So you know what? Just because.
Did you text him?
Yeah. Oh,
Or phone a friend?
he just texted me.
Funny.
You know what? Let me see. We're just going to call him.
Call him. Yeah.
Let's just make... Let's just call him. Let's just... Yeah. This is not podcast-like, but it's okay. We'll just...
do it anyway. We're fun.
Let's see if he answers.
Yeah.
Isn't it your chair, by the way, that makes that noise?
Yeah. It's like all...
Oh.
It's like we get little squeaky sounds. See?
We'll have to tell
wiggle,
Lester.
I wiggle like crazy, too. Like, honestly, I'm just like a wiggly person, so...
Oh, no, it's okay. It's just I was one...
yeah. It's a little squeaky. I think I just wiggle a lot. It's because of the squish. Like, it's squishy. And I get, like, antsy. Like, I'm a wiggly lady. I'm like, this is probably the most I've sat in, like, 2 weeks. Like, I just don't... I move constantly, yeah, so it's...
Oh, this is awful. I'm
trying to think about what my question will be for
right.
next one. Okay, let me think. Let's think.
If not, you know what? Sorry. If not, you know what? I'll just I'll choose one from one of the previous guests. And you know what? There is something I feel like we didn't talk about, which is fine. We don't have to. If you don't like the question, I'll give you. I have a couple. I can give you another one, but. This was a question from my actually very first guest. Her name is Melissa Moya. She's a firefighter, a fabulous woman. That episode is the first episode, and it's not a filmed episode. It was when I was actually doing just audio. Those are the first two. And her question is, what is... Ah, no, wait. That's not... That's not a question I wanted to ask you. Okay, but she's a fabulous person.
Okay,
but
still fabulous. Different question.
Okay, but other fabulous woman is Patsy. She was my second guest. Okay. And the question was, do you know where you're going when you die?
Do I know where I'm going when I die? My answer is going to say no. But because my belief system is not based in Christianity. I believe, I guess what they would call agnostic. Like
okay.
I believe in God. I believe in a higher being and a higher creation. I think that it would be naive for me to think that I know, right? We talk about this all the time. Like, one of the biggest releases that I've ever had is saying I don't know.
Okay.
Because I don't know. What I can say is that in times that I knew that I should fall, that I should struggle, I can lean on an existence that's bigger than me. When I speak to that existence, it's creation. I say creation. Every morning I pray to the east and I pray to the west at night. because the sun rises and sets. I believe that there's not enough for us to know, right? It's a feeling. My understanding of the afterlife is that we will go on. I personally believe in reincarnation. I believe that we are incarnated. I think Christianity does as well, because Jesus is incarnated, and they believe in an incarnation into another realm, right? Heaven. I think the words are just what complicates things, right? People fight over who's God or who's Jesus or who's that, but when really they're missing the actual text and information. So yeah, I think that I do move on. I wouldn't say where, right? Because that's for me and my maker when we face that, right? Because I do believe we do go somewhere else, but I don't think it's what we think.
Right.
I don't think it's this. This might be getting into the weeds, right? But when they describe heaven, right, we're custom made. Everything biblically says that. Everything biblically says that we are custom to the hair on our head and everything. If that's true, why would God send me to a cookie cutter location? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would he customize our existence in every single form, in every single way, but we're all going to the same place? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't compute for me. God's going to customize it. So I believe in God. I believe in an existence beyond me. But I don't believe he's sending us all to the same place. We wouldn't get along there. We don't get along here. Why would we go to the same place? That's not going to happen. Not how I imagine it, right?
Yeah.
I think that we do go to another realm, another dimension, another existence, but I don't think it's always the way we understand. I might be a bug. I might be the wind. I might be another person, or maybe there is a heaven. But I think it's unfair for me to say that I know, because I don't fucking know what I'm eating for dinner, right? Like I don't, yeah. right? And so I can't take. That's my biggest release in my life, is that I don't know, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm comfortable. Like if I die tomorrow, I'd be okay. Like I'm okay. I'm extremely content with my life and comfortable, whether I die or live longer. Right? I didn't think I was gonna live past 2 years ago. I died. I overdosed. Like I died in a bed and I was thrown there for 3 days. Right? That's what happened. That's what sent me in recovery. Is because I physically died of a drug overdose. I remember I was ODing in a shower. Right? And you think about that, right? And you think about that reality, right? I already faced death. The fact that I lived is the true testament that I didn't continue that way, right? So, I mean, I've already seen hell. So I have. So I hope there's a heaven. Right now, it's as close as I've gotten. I've already lived Earth hell, so, right?
You're making your Earth heaven.
I'm making my Earth heaven. Like my thing is I can't say I claim to know anything, right? I don't. But I can definitely say that there is something for myself that has saved me. Not a spirit or a soul of saving my soul, right? It saved me from myself, from hating myself. I hated myself, like, so much that I tried to destroy it. Like, and so there's a creation out there that cares about me enough to not want to see me destroyed. So that's enough for me, I think.
Well,
So,
thank you,
yeah.
because you're so inspiring.
Thank you.
It was really inspirational. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
thank you.
course.
Because I love how open you are about it, and it's been so refreshing, this conversation. We've been into like deep stuff,
Right.
but always with so much respect and dignity, and it was such a refreshing talk. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing all of that with
course.
us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Thank you for having me, and the platform as well, and the location's wonderful. It's been really great, and I love to like that. That's what I want this to be, right? Is like people should always feel about my company, about myself, just that fluidity, you know. And I want that. So I appreciate the time, you know.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I guess Nico's not going to answer it, which is okay.
That's okay.
But so if you don't mind, it's
Yes.
either you can share it with me or you can just write it down and just like, oh, this is orange. Okay.
Oh, a little fun.
And then
Yeah.
this
So I'm
is
just
gonna
asking a
be-
question. You said, right?
Yeah. So Fay. So like just a couple. That was Patsy, but then we had like Addie that says, if it was your last day on Earth, what would the 5 things you would take with you? Kushake asked like, what has helped you overcome hardships? We had Lester mentioned 3 of your happiest moments in your life. Like it goes. you can
Got
say
it.
what's your favorite color. You
Great.
can go to any,
I got one.
range.
I got one. So, what brings you the most peace, and what do you do every day to maintain that?
What brings you the most peace? And what do you do every day to maintain that?
Yes.
And what do you do every day? That's such a good one. Every day to maintain that.
I ask a question myself every single day, and is how much how much am I willing to give to myself? How much am I worth?
Mm-mm.
And if the question is ever less than 100%, I have to ask myself again. So
There we go.
you should be able to give 100%. That's after. If it's not 100%, then you're wrong. The measure, you got to redo your metric. 'Cause
Right.
It should always be 100. So
Well, and if if you're still here watching this episode, answer Faye's question in the comments, and we would love to know what your answer is. Before we wrap up for the day, is there anything you wanted to share with us?
be kind. Like that's really my biggest message is like you don't always know about what people go through. And you're not supposed to. Like we're not supposed to understand. We're supposed to experience. So experience life today, guys.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to oh my God, Marie. You know what? It's
love
it's
it.
becoming a running gag. The
I love
outros
it.
are terrible
So
every
funny.
episode.
I love it. It's good. It's good. Like that makes it organic. It's not supposed to be.
No, right? But
Imperfection makes it perfect.
yes, you know what I always forget is to say, and I always say it at the end when it's been like 2 hours and 30 minutes, but like, subscribe, don't forget to share and comment. And if you're interested to be a part of the podcast, there is a link in my bio on Instagram. You can fill in the intake form and then it will lead you across the table from me. And I would love to share a conversation with you. Thank you to Lester and the Albuquerque Podcast Studio for allowing me to record in this beautiful space. If you need any space to record podcasts or books or anything, there's even now, I think he is done with that little room, recording room. If you sing and stuff, come and record here. I'm probably not the best at just promoting people, and also don't forget to follow Fay and Corvus Mas, M-A-S, right?
Yes.
Corvus M-A-S on Instagram. And please share, please donate and help the best, any way that you can. We have to have each other's back. This is what the podcast is about also. So thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.